Mattel Electronics presents the Intellivision Gamer.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Intellivision Show, episode 79. I'm your host, the Intellivision Gamer, and we have a special guest today. We are going to interview Blue Sky Ranger Steve Ettinger. We're going to do the interview first, and then at the end, we're going to have some news, mail call, and a homebrew highlight on Gyruss, a 2018 release from Inty-Home. Give this show a like, and if you're new here, consider subbing to the channels. I post Intellivision content every week. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, AtariAge, Discord, and I also have the Retro Gamer. My email and all these links are in the description of every video if you're looking for one. And real quick, before we get started, I've been forgetting I have channel members, and I have a list here because I do not have them memorized, but they will go in order. I would like to thank Roger Matthews, Mike's Gaming Gala, TV's Hasselhoff, Go Game Go, Jeffrey, Metal Torso, EE Buckeye, Fat Boys Gaming and Nonsense, IR Geek, Lesismo, Pierre Garreau, DJC Game Studios, Benville, Ruggers Customs, and the newest member, Michael Doherty. Now let's go ahead and welcome everyone in chat, and we'll bring on our guest. Benville was first, as usual. He is hard to beat, I'll tell you that. Jesse from Ivory Tower Collections, good to see you as well. Yes, Deep Zone is Gyruss-ish, and they were both the same year, as I'll get to the comment in a little bit. Deep Zone came out later in the same year that Gyruss did. Harvey Decline, welcome, sir. Good to see you as well. Chris, what's going on, Lathe? Chris, one of the PRGE normals at the Intellivision booth. Pierre, good to see you, Pierre. All right, so quick show update. After next Monday, we'll have a regular show, and I'm going to be limited on my time for about 2 months. Most of you know and have heard my wife is having an elective surgery. She's fine. Those of you that know, you know. I'm going to be off work, unpaid, for 6 weeks, and then I have some vacation stuff after that, and then right after that's PRGE. So it's going to be a busy 2 months, but for that 6 weeks, at least 3 of them, my time's going to be real limited. I'm still going to be on every Monday, but I might just come on and do the news, mail call, and maybe a little bit of gameplay, a homebrew highlight. But I'm going to be under an hour, half hour to an hour tops for those 3-4 weeks. And then after that, we'll be back to normal. But I will be here. Personal update, what's going on? My house edition. They've got the roof on. It's coming along nicely. It's about 1,000 square foot add-on. We're about 2.5 years behind, so it is great to see such good progress, and I can't wait till it's done and we just get to expand out into the much needed larger house and 2 bathrooms, because we've been living a family of 4 on 1 bathroom for a while, and whew, that's something new for us. So, but look, I'm really looking forward to that. So now let's go ahead and welcome Blue Sky Ranger Steve Ettinger. Good evening. Everybody. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Casey?
It's good to see you. It's been a while.
Almost a year.
Yeah, it's been a while. I time goes by fast. I can't believe it's been that long. I was thinking 6-7 months, but this year's been like a blur for me. I had emergency gallbladder removal surgery right at the start, and I was out 6 weeks, and then I worked several weeks straight because I was behind. That was unpaid until disability kicked in, but wasn't as much. And then I went on a big vacation, the Midwest Gaming Classic, got back and worked a lot again because I overspent. And now I'm getting ready to be off again. We've had the house expansion going on this whole time. I've been I don't even know how I'm finding time to do the show every Monday, to be honest.
Are you sure you don't want to be setting up a GoFundMe for all this unpaid work you're doing?
No. I just work, if I know I'm going to be off or something, I'll work a whole bunch before it and kind of set it aside. And then afterwards, if we're still not doing the best, I'll work, because we have options. We're 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. All weekends are double time. So, and I can work up to 12 hours a day on a weekend. So it sucks. I'm on a lot of days in a row right now, but it's like I have all 6 weeks covered at my normal rate, at least. So I won't be hurting at all. I just don't want to dip into my savings. The hardest part for me is going to be being good and not buying. I have to stay off eBay and not even look because I don't have much self-control.
Delete the app.
Yeah, I can't do that. I don't think my finger would do it. I'd be like, no. But I cannot look. And I'm in several groups, and these guys will send links. I'm gonna be like, don't look, just wait a while. Little things are one thing, but like if a keyboard component comes up, I won't resist that. I'll just do it. Chris says that has to be the first time someone called me normal. Well, I wasn't referring to you specifically. Do you know who Chris is? The guy from PRG that wears the kilt?
Hey, Chris.
That's Lathe. Everyone's saying hello. Gaming Road Warrior, welcome, sir. Oh, nice. I appreciate that. I've done that a lot. Listen on my way home. Yes, you are quite good at this game, I know, at least the NES version. Mike's Gaming Gala, also one of the channel members, also one of my wrenches. I gave up on eBay a decade ago. You can get in trouble damn fast. Yes, I know. That's how all this happened back here. Chris is saying, hello, Steve. OG Hugo is here. Good to see you, sir. He's the guy one of the many that has a line of controllers. This is a gamepad. He also does an arcade stick. He does a lot of mods for consoles as well. PJ Smith, good to see you, sir. One of my buddies. So, all right, guys. So what we're going to do, we have a lot of questions laid out for Steve, and it's going to take a while to get through them. If you have questions, hold on to them, because I did reach out to a few people for some suggestions, and most of them I already had on here. I've been thinking about it for days, trying to add them. And if it's not asked, right at the end, I'll be like, all right, guys, if you have any questions for Steve, throw them up, and then we'll get to those as well. Kurt Bradshaw, what's going on? Irie Tower Collections. Jesse says, excellent to have Steve on. I don't know if you know who he is. He does a lot. He does all my console mods. He fixes them. He upgrades them. He was also at PRGE last year.
Well, it must have been.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So basically, like I told you before we went on, I'm asking all these questions. I know a lot of the answers, but I'm asking them as if these guys watching don't know anything about you yet. Yep. So some of them might see, why is he asking me that? But it's like, some people aren't going to know. Sure. Yes, that would be sweet. Benville's already asking questions. Will there be a sequel to Body Slam? Yeah, so I mean, you have a lot of great games. I mean, my favorite one, of course, is Chip Shot, but every single one was well done. And so let's go ahead and get into the questions. Without getting anything gaming, tell everyone just a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm retired now. My wife and I split time between the Seattle area and the Minneapolis area, primarily because that's where grandkids are. So part of the time in one spot, part of the time in the other spot. We also spend some time in Mexico. I'm a fan of various sports, music. I've got 3 kids of my own. My wife and I are a blended family. So with her too, we've got five adult kids, ages ranging from 37 to 41, and 6 grands. I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. Nope. I see your lips moving. I hear no sound.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. I've got this nice little box that does my audio, and I rarely touch it. But if I see the volume auto adjust down low, I turn it back up, and when I touch the top, it's also mute, just on touch. I'm like, can't hear me? That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I muted myself. Mike's dream come true. So I have a grandbaby on the way too, due September 30th, my first. We're a blended family as well, but my stepdaughter will be 27 soon, and they live in Northern Oregon. Okay. So we, at the end of this, we will also be going up there to, whenever the grandbaby's born, we'll be going to meet him, help out, and then we'll be coming back like within a week or 2 at the tops to go to PRGE and also see grandbaby again.
There you go. Well, I'll give you the hot tip of what not to do as your first move as a grandfather, and that is post a picture of you and the baby on Facebook without the parents' permission.
Oh, yeah. I take it you did that?
Don't do that.
Did you do that?
Yeah, that kid's now 10 and I still haven't lived it out and down.
Yeah, a lot of people want to approve pictures or be the first one to post this or that, and
yeah.
or they don't want their kids on Facebook.
The remaining 5, I did not make the same mistake.
Yeah. Well, at least you learned.
I did, the hard way.
All right, a few more people say hello. Mr. Postile says Silent Casey made it more fun.
You can practice
Rick,
reading
what's going
lips.
on? Huh?
They can practice reading lips.
Yeah. I've actually done that a few times, but it's been so long that when you said you couldn't hear me, I'm thinking, uh-oh, technical difficulties, but it was just my own self. Fast Car, what is that? A Politico 68. Anyone add to HDMI to old gold and wooden television console? Yes, I have 2 ways to do that. One through a lot of equipment and one through LumaCode, and it goes straight out to HDMI. They're both are really good pictures. Jesse says my ex and I wouldn't even let most folks see our kids until they were a month old. My kids were all over Facebook. We posted them. Other people posted them. I get, whatever people want. It's their right, but I posted mine everywhere.
Yep.
All right, everyone's saying hello to everyone. Okay, so next up, tell us about your first gaming experience and how old were you?
Yeah, so since I'm a fossil compared to a lot of you guys, my first gaming experience was actually in arcades, and this would be early 80s. And I remember Pac-Man, I remember Frogger, I remember Galaxia, I remember Galaga, I remember lots of arcade type titles, but as a kid growing up, or even as a sort of young adult, there were no such things. And so in the early 80s was when I was a law student, and I dropped out of law school. My dad was irritated that I dropped out of law school and said, Steve, it's not that you quit law school that bothers me. It's that you don't know what you want to do instead that bothers me. So he kind of forced me to attend a UCLA Extension career orientation and evaluation seminar where you take a barrage of aptitude and interest tests, most of which I'd taken during my psych undergrad days. And then they have a PhD analyze the results and tell you what you should be when you grow up. So after I finished all the tests, I met with the PhD and she told me that I had a marvelous aptitude to be a systems analyst. And I had no idea what that was. I was a total liberal arts major, psych major, English and music minor, no math, no computer science, nothing. And so after telling me I needed to become a systems analyst, I asked, what is that? Oh, well, that's somebody that speaks English to computer users and computer programming to computer programmers. I said, well, I minored in one of those languages and I know nothing about the other. So I attended a brief part of a quarter at Cal State LA of a computer programming class, decided it wasn't horrible, but also decided I didn't want to sit through another year or two of undergrad classes. And so I elected to attend a trade school. If you can draw Blinky, you can become an artist. I attended a place called Computer Learning Center in Los Angeles. I have no idea if it still exists. And they were cranking classes through, groups of students through once a month. They'd start a new group. And so it was an intense 6 months. First couple of months were orientation. Then the following bulk of the time were 3 programming languages, COBOL, BAL, and RPG2. And then the last week or two is like teaching you how to write a resume and how to interview. And the most memorable moment from the how to interview part was the dude who was totally clueless said, anytime they even come close to mentioning anything about money or salary, you were supposed to pound your fist on the table and go, is that an offer? And so I was in the class behind Andy Sells, who was hired at Mattel Electronics as an audio guy. He'd been a former sound engineer in Hollywood. And I kept pestering Andy to get me an interview. And he finally told me there'd be a job fair. I attended the job fair, met with one of the 2 hiring managers, Mike Minkoff. So I was a liberal arts guy, law school dropout, computer programming trade school guy. And he didn't see anything appealing there and passed on me. I kept pestering Andy after that to get an interview with the other hiring manager, Don. And after weeks of trying, and this is way before cell phones, I just kept calling. He finally said, okay, I've arranged for you to have another interview. I was like, great. When do I get to meet Don? He goes, no, you're meeting Mike. I'm like, no, I've already met with Mike and I've washed out with Mike. He's totally going to remember me. And so I went to the interview. I found out later, in fact, he did not remember me. He gave me the little test that they give all the programmers called the Minkoff measure, named after him, Mike Minkoff. I failed it spectacularly. He said, well, we'll see. And he didn't say no. And so I did the also, you're saying there's a chance kind of thing. And so for the next several weeks, I kept calling his office. I got to be very friendly with his secretary, Cynthia. Cynthia would tell me, oh, Steve, he can't talk today, try again tomorrow. And so I just kept pestering him. And finally I got hired, and he told me later the only reason he hired me was to get me to quit calling. So that's kind of how I stumbled, bumbled, and sort of serendipitied my way into games.
Funny how that works is like so many people don't have a direct path to where they end up.
Yeah.
What was your first gaming console or computer that you had at home?
I didn't. I had
You
nothing.
never have.
Never had one. And, you know,
even later.
Once I got the job at Mattel, then I would take stuff home. I remember taking Intellivision console home and a couple of games that were in development. One of my first assignments at Mattel was to write a review of the soon-to-be released game Royal Dealer. And I had no idea like how in-depth it had to be, or if anything I said mattered in terms of changing any of the game, because it seemed like it was pretty much done. I later discovered or realized that it was basically just an exercise to see if I could write. And again, English minor, yes, I was able to write. And so I think that was part of the ammo that they used in order to move me from just programming exclusively into leadership. So.
All right. So we kind of went over some of this about, you know, when you decided you want to be a game programmer and your influences. So you just kind of on a roundabout way that you got to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just luck. I thought it'd be cool. I wasn't like haunting the arcades, but I was maybe probably slightly more knowledgeable than the average person. And then when Andy landed the job there, we kind of went, oh, maybe this isn't such a far-fetched thing. And one of the other programmer students that I was in the same group with, Tony Otero, also went to Mattel Electronics. He was in the Aquarius group. He and I later also went from Mattel when it closed down to a place called Quotron Systems. So there were three of us at least that were Computer Learning Center grads that made it into the Mattel Intellivision group.
Michael Hayes says, I remember the story about Mike Minkoff and that weird cube-shaped paperweight and the last days in 1983 Mattel Electronics. We've got the momentum. All right. So did you work on, you obviously with what you've said already, you didn't work on any games before Intellivision?
No.
So that one's kind of a...
Yep. My first experience was at Mattel. My first day on the job, they assigned me to a guy to watch over me and train me. He had no interest in doing that. And so I kind of had to figure it all out on my own. And because I was so clueless, the 1610 assembly language was not something that was taught at the computer school. So I had to learn the language. I had to understand the architecture. I had to understand the exec. But that also sort of positioned me to try things where other people would go, you just can't do that. I had no idea you couldn't do stuff. So I would just try stuff and keep trying stuff until I figured out how to make it happen. I guess
and they'd be like, how'd you do that?
Yeah, I can lay part of the blame for that on the instructor at Computer Learning Center that taught COBOL. His answer to every single question I asked him about, does the language do this, or how would I go about that, or whatever, his answer was always the same, and it was, try it. So I was convinced the guy had no idea of any of the correct answers, but maybe that groomed me and prepared me for being able to do stuff at Mattel.
Yeah, I mean, we all know it turned out really well. So APH, you know, the guys that did stuff early on, did you ever have any workings or know any of those guys?
No, I never had any interactions with them, never met any of those guys at the time. I've probably met a couple of them in later years at conventions or conferences, but no, they were kind of arm's length from our group at Mattel. Our group was a rapidly growing group. Most of the hires were either math or computer science majors. There were a couple exceptions. And so I was obviously one of the exceptions because I had no business being there really.
Well, a lot of us are glad that you ended up in that path. And a lot of you guys were real young too, right?
Totally. Yeah. Many people just straight out of college. I think we even had one or two kids right out of high school.
Yeah, I remember there was a few older guys and they were probably managers. Like what were the management level? What were they like?
Well, Don and Mike were great. They reported to Gabriel. Everybody's heard of Hal. And so if you've read the TV Guide Blue Sky Rangers story, the whole thing about Hal being one letter off from IBM, and we never called him Hal. I mean, that was just some fake name that came up with for that article. But it was a very casual, very fun work environment. My direct manager was Keith Robinson. Mark Urbanek was the other manager that reported to Don Daglow. And so each of those two guys, Keith and Mark, had anywhere from, 3 to 7 programmers and other staff that reported directly to them. And then when I became a group leader, that was to sort of offload some of the work from Keith. I always joke with Keith that just basically freed up more of his time for creating home movies instead of actually working on his game.
So you guys, obviously, were you there at every iteration of Intellivision to the end, from the start to the end?
I was
there not the first start, but Mattel.
Yeah. I was there from 82 through 84 at Mattel. 84, they closed the doors. And then Valesky and Stout bought the rights to the Intellivision hardware and software and development and formed InTv Corp. And then they hired Dave Warhol to be the sort of executive producer over all of the InTv titles. And then Dave basically contacted former colleagues that had been fellow programmers and artists and audio people at Mattel to do the work on all the InTv games. So I continued to program Intellivision games sort of at first evenings and weekends. After Mattel, I took a job at Quotron Systems, which was the old sort of stock market company. If you ever went to a stockbroker back in those days, they had a Quotron terminal on their desk. It was hardwired into the stock exchange. That was the only way you could get stock quotes. So they had a corner on the market until the internet happened, and then Quotron had problems. But I was at Quotron initially after Mattel, so I only had evenings and weekends free. And then at a certain point in time, Dave was getting enough requests for work from Terry and Dan that I was able to agree with him to just give up my day job, so to speak, and just program Intellivision games full time. And so I did that both in the LA area where I was living at the time, and then after my wife and I moved to the Seattle area, I continued to work pretty much full-time programming games. Initially Intellivision titles, then some TutorVision titles, and then I segued on to Game Boy and Game Gear. And that's sort of when I shifted from being Intellivision guy to what everybody at my office called me, Grandpa Game Boy.
So you have been responsible for mini games yourself.
Yeah.
We'll go over those, but didn't you help with some games too, like assisted without credits before your games?
Well, I did, and I was credited, but I did help Eddie Dombrower with World Series Major League Baseball. I did the voice implementation, voice code modules for him. I also helped Julie Hoshizaki with Thin Ice a little bit. I can't remember if I'm credited in that one or not. And then the first game I worked on at Mattel, my initial starting project was Magic Carousel, which was pitched to me as the Intellivision version of a See and Say, sort of a kid's first video game. Mm-hmm. And so it was intended to be super basic and super rudimentary controls. My psych degree has an emphasis in child psychology, so I guess they figured I'd be a great guy to figure out a title that would have enough technical stuff to be sort of visually appealing, but not so hard that a kid couldn't figure out how to do it with some help from their parent.
And then tell us a little bit about your Intellivision games that were released and a little bit about each one.
Well, and this is the thing. I was in the midst of getting close to finishing up Hover Force 3D when everything stopped. It was debuted at the CES in January of '84, and then shortly thereafter, they finished up the various rounds of layoffs. And those of us that were there till the very bitter end, I was one of them. None of the titles that we were working on got finished. When InTV Corp happened, then I was asked to finish the game. By then, the licensing agreement with Georgia Tech, I can't remember which, Research Institute for the 3D goggles went away. So the 3D was stripped from the title of Hover Force 3D. Everything else about the graphics in the game stayed the same. The game was incomplete. There was no enemy AI, no helicopter AI for the guys that you're trying to defeat. And so Dave Warhol came up with many personalities for the different types of helicopters that all had very funny and creative names that he came up with. FOAD, FOAD was my favorite. I'm sure people can figure out what that acronym stands for. That was a helicopter that just kept shooting at you, just kept pissing you off, and you really just wanted it to FOAD. So in fact, the primary game that I was working on did not get released until after Mattel shut the doors, and it was released under the InTV flag. And all of my subsequent titles were done either through InTV branded games or the Tudor Vision stuff, which was also commissioned through the InTV people.
So Hover Force, which that's a game that I really like. I think it's quite impressive. I never played it until, oh boy, like maybe a few years ago on Astro Smash Mondays when we had the challenge. I had to learn how to play it. Once you learn how to play it, man, that game's fun.
It's kind of grueling. The map is enormous. And it was fun creating the different grids that lock together to build the entire map of New Seaburg. If anybody's seen the rules and the name of the island, SEEBURG, my initials are SEE. The helicopter is called the JAF, whatever the number is. That stands for Joseph Arthur Ferreira. That was the artist's and animator's name at the time. He's now joking. And so it was fun to kind of create those little environments. I especially had fun with the little park areas and the little basketball courts. Having been a basketball and volleyball player in high school and in college, I wanted to be sure we had like things like that you could shoot up. So, but it is difficult if you don't understand about how to use the air brakes, which stop the helicopter, realistically stop the helicopter on a dime.
That's crucial.
Yeah, then you're never going to succeed. It's going to be ridiculously frustrating.
I like that one. It's actually one of my favorite Intellivision games, but I never knew it existed until, it was kind of not forced, but had to play it for the weekly challenge. And it's like, that happens a lot on these homebrew games too. I have so many of them that I've never played, and I do these homebrew highlights, and I'm like, man, I've been sitting on this game for a couple years and it's this much fun. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so where was I? I kind of lost my track. Now you also did Chip Shot. That's my favorite Steve Ettinger game. Tell us a little bit about that one.
My favorite as well. I can't remember in order. I think I sent you the list, but I don't have it in front of me. But I don't know if Slam Dunk preceded Chip Shot. But regardless, Chip Shot was sort of inspired by a Nintendo golf arcade game at the time. And the Nintendo game had fantastic screens and controls, had this little inset box with the golfer swinging. And so I took a lot of inspiration from that title and tried to figure out how to represent that on the, 20 by 12 Intellivision, 16 colors and 8 sprites sort of limitations. And so I had to create the little mini font, which was used later on for other things. And I just had a lot of fun really pushing what the original PGA Golf had 9 holes and was very rudimentary in terms of its, what it presented to the player. Chip Shot has 99 holes, which are really 33 holes, and then 33 holes that are X flipped, and then 33 holes that are X flipped and Y flipped. The hole position, the slope of the green, the wind direction, and many trees are all randomized. So you could play it, 100 times and it would never play the same. It's also possible to construct your own course out of the 33 or really 99 holes. So you could just do all par threes, all par fours, all par fives. You could play the same hole for 9 holes or 18 holes. So it has a lot of flexibility that
Putting
way.
green.
A driving range and a putting green. And I think those are both super helpful to get used to the mechanism for swinging for non-putts. And then the putting green is fun because if you get a horizontal or vertical direction green and you move the ball far enough away, you can simulate the effect of the golfer fainting. Whenever you make a shot from greater than 33 yards, the golfer
I've done that.
faints, and it's super funny to see it happen.
And if you don't know it's coming the first time, you're like, what the heck just happened?
Exactly. It's great.
Now, to be honest, I didn't have this game as a kid. I had PGA golf, which I liked. I played it a lot. Yeah. And once I played Chip Shot, I tried to go back and make a video. I have zero interest to play PGA golf anymore. It's just, and I had a lot of fun with it growing up. But once you play Chip Shot, it's just like playing Pong.
The only thing really that I sort of stole, so to speak, or borrowed from the original PGA golf was the swing mechanism. How you have to depress the button to do the backswing, how you have to let go just right before it reaches the back of the gauge, and then how you have to hit it again as you're making contact with the ball to control hooking and slicing. And so other than that, it was a complete from the ground up product. And in fact, it was, even the swing mechanism was brand new code. It just kept the same methodology so that people would be able to understand how to do it.
And it's like real golf. No matter how good you can get fairly good, but you can't do the same thing every time. You're always going to be a little bit this way, that way, a little under overpower. So it's much like real golf, where no matter how good you get, you're not perfect every time.
Yes.
And I like that.
Yeah.
The one thing that got me too was, if I'm remembering right, you don't have to hit the tree. If you hit the shadow, it's going to grab your ball, right?
Yes, usually so. And so you basically just want to steer away from trees wherever possible.
And shadows.
And the shadows of the trees. And then the tall trees, sometimes you can get lucky and sort of skull one low and sort of go under the branches. But most of the bush trees, you either got to go over them or around them because they'll just eat your ball.
Yeah. So what do we have? What's the next game you want to talk about? There's only a couple left.
Oh, there's several left. I think.
Well,
Slam Dunk we could do. Slam Dunk was again a pet project for me, being a huge basketball and NBA fan growing up. As a kid, I had NBA pennants for every team, sort of splayed around the top edges of my room. I wish I still had those pennants. I wonder what my mom ever did with them. Anyway,
I don't have any of mine either.
So that game was basically a revamp of the original NBA basketball. I can't remember if it was InTV's suggestion or Dave Warhol's suggestion, but the idea of having a manager mode with stats for players and a budget to spend and stats that would be reflected in how the players behave in the game was something that was added to the original product, and that was new. So I did sort of inherit the original NBA basketball code and sort of added stuff on top of it. I think I even retained a couple of the infamous bugs as a result. I think there's one bug where you can somehow something happens and the guy just starts flying in to the roof of the stadium. But that turned out a lot of fun. I basically used the stats from an NBA guide that I had. So I took real life players' stats, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Daryl Dawkins or whoever. And since we weren't getting the license, we had to come up with player names, fake names. So some of the fake names are friends and family. Some are coworkers from Mattel. Some were just made up names. My personal favorite name was Stretch Marks, M-A-R-X, for a tall guy that might have had Ralph Sampson's stats. I'm not positive, but I could look it up. So a lot of people have commented over the years that there's certain players that they just really hope they get to draft. This one guy, Beryl Smith, who's named after a buddy of mine named Mike Beryl Smith. His nickname was Beryl. And so that was a really fun project as well.
I know Intellivision Dude, another YouTuber, that's one of his favorite games all time. He loves that game, plays it a lot, and it's a lot more in depth than the first one. The first one is basketball, but it's like there's so much depth to that one. It's just like Chip Shot versus PGA. It's amazing what you did to that game.
Well, there is in fact an animation for Slam Dunk. It's not the best in the world, but given what we were trying to do to splice things in between what was already there. I mean, it approximates a slam dunk, hence the name of the game. I also remember Keith Robinson telling me that they had no budget for the box art. And so basically he found two guys playing basketball at some neighborhood park and asked them if they'd be willing to pose for photos. And they said, yeah. I have no idea if he paid them or not. And you can see it's like the padding on the bottom of the backboard is like falling off. I mean, it's just so low budget. It's hilarious.
One of the few games with a picture on the front of the box.
That's right.
That's cool. I don't think I remember hearing you talk about that, which I know I listened, to the last interview on Papa Pete. But I don't remember that part. That's interesting.
No, I don't think I've brought that up before. I have brought up the whole getting contacted out of the blue by a guy from St. Louis who had a Intellivision basketball league that he and his buddies were playing slam dunk regularly and keeping stats, and they had a whole like spreadsheet or graph paper, I don't know what they used, of stats with their guys' names and how they were performing. And they asked us to make a custom version for them, which we agreed to do. I think we set the price at $1,000 and they said, okay. And so Connie created a whole new title screen for them that was IBL, Intellivision Basketball League. It was really sweet. I wish I had a picture of it. Maybe she does.
Huh. And I'd love to see that.
We spliced in all their stats and sent them a T card. It was a one-off, the only one there was. And they never paid us a penny.
Whoa. They never paid?
No. So if you're listening.
Wow. So Michael Hayes is saying Spiker, and it had a baby announcement Easter egg.
Yeah,
I guess
we'll
we can head into Spiker.
We can get to that. I put Easter eggs in all of my games. The only one that didn't have Easter eggs was Slam Dunk. And I felt like having all my family's names spliced through all the player names was good enough.
Yeah, I would call that something similar to an Easter egg.
But Hover Force had Easter egg, Chip Shot, Spiker, Pool and Billiards had it. Am I forgetting? Oh, I can't remember now. Maybe I'm forgetting it. Oh, and Body Slam. Those all had, if you held down usually 2, 3, 2, 6 and hit reset, that's usually how you cause my Easter egg screens to come up.
Oh, so they're the same on each one. Except
for Spiker, which I didn't figure out until 2014. I couldn't remember what the keys were, but it was 1, 4 reset. 14
lost for years.
Yeah, 14 being my favorite number.
Okay, so tell us about Spiker, the most expensive original 125 game out there.
Yeah, if only I'd kept a bunch of copies, huh? Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I played volleyball in high school and college, and so this was again another sort of labor of love game. When I was approached to do it, I seem to recall, since Dave lived like right on the beach in Manhattan Beach, California, he could look out his window and watch beach volleyball players playing. He had what he used to refer to as the Warhol champagne cork test for if you live close enough to the beach. And obviously, so if you pop the cork and the cork flies and hits sand, you live close enough to the beach. So he was a big enthusiast for the game, having 2-on-2 beach volleyball. I had really never played much beach volleyball. I had only done 6-on-6 indoor volleyball in high school and in college. And so we decided the game would have to have both. And so it's basically the same game, but they're just different background graphics. The sand that you're running through doesn't really impact your mobility. It really should have in hindsight, because it's so much harder to play on sand.
Yes.
But again, that was another labor of love. And during the time that I was coding that game, my daughter Jessica was born. So I did slip in the birth announcement. And years later, somebody was sort of plowing through old ROMs and discovered the ASCII code for the birth announcement and posited that was the first birth announcement in electronic entertainment history. They were referring to old, like when Pixar movies end, they list all the production babies in the credits at the end of the movie. But nobody has disproven the fact that in 1988, my daughter's birth announcement was a part of the Easter egg for Spiker.
Michael Hayes says Joe Zabisiak is the one that found that Easter egg originally.
Yes, he is. It was great. I met him at the Classic Gaming Expo in Vegas in 2014. He came walking up with this little attaché case I was like, what's in there? He's like, it's an Intellivision hardware debugger. I was like, does that thing work? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, can you set breakpoints and single step through code? He goes, yeah. And so I said, okay, I've forgotten what my special code was for Spiker. Can you figure it out by putting a breakpoint at the reset vector and then single stepping through the code to see what numbers I'm pulling for on the hand controllers? And he said, yeah. And he went away, and like 20 minutes later, he came back and showed me the screen, and he had figured out it was 1-4 reset. And so thanks, Joe, if you're listening. So the people that posted on the internet about this birth announcement had posted the text, ASCII text, but since no one had ever seen the screen, once we knew resurrected what my secret code was, we did a screen grab, and then I tried to post that picture to all of the websites where people had made mention of the ASCII text. And so while it's my personal favorite Easter egg for me personally, I think the most impressive Easter egg I've ever seen was done by Mike Micah, who is a studio director up in Emeryville, California. And he managed to sneak in a digitized black and white photo into a Nintendo Game Boy game.
Whoa, Nintendo.
Which was a proposal. He proposed to his now wife through an Easter egg of a digitized black and white photo on the 4-color original Game Boy, which to me is just like, I bow down to his cojones and to his creativity at the time. I did games for Nintendo and for Sega, not directly, but games for their platforms. And I always used to have this joke that I could summarize each of those two corporations' philosophy in one word. To me, the Nintendo corporate philosophy was always no. And to me, the Sega corporate philosophy was always cool. And so so the fact that he got away with doing something like that on a Nintendo product is very impressive to me.
Yeah, because that was a no-no for everyone, but Nintendo, it was really a no-no, wasn't it?
For sure. Nintendo had very strict rules about what you could and couldn't say in games. I wish I kept this too. They once sent a memo printed like a letter to every licensed Nintendo developer. Dear developer, we, according to our standards, you are hereby forbidden from using any of the following words or phrases or terms. And then they just started doing the whole, Carlin, like F, S, P, C. I mean, every word you can think of, all written out. And I just wish I'd kept that letter and framed it. It was hilarious.
Now, you haven't played any or even many or any homebrew games for Intellivision, right?
That is correct.
You've seen a few, maybe.
So
you don't have a favorite.
I just only briefly saw them last year at the show in Oregon.
Yeah. Did anyone happen to catch your eye a little bit? Or
I couldn't say, no.
Yeah, someone was asking. I didn't think you had one, but Nintendo to Nintendo, they're saying foobar. All right, so with Intellivision, you just didn't do Intellivision games. You help people. You had your own games, and something that I have a special place for because I own one of 3 known TutorVision consoles. You did work on TutorVision. Can you tell us, or the software? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So somewhere along the line, and I'm sure that Chris Lath can tell us the exact dates of when that was starting to happen. INTV was approached by World Book to create a console of edutainment titles. DJC.
Just showing the crowd, it's my new DJC YouTuber koozie.
So INTV was approached by World Book. INTV agreed to do some titles and to create a modified version of the Intellivision to support those titles. And so I was one of the 3 programmers that Dave approached to program games for the TutorVision. These were educational content products. There was an actual educational design company in Berkeley, California called BLT, Berkeley Learning Technologies. And I worked directly with one of their designers, a former teacher named Carolyn Earhart. And I was involved in, I think, 5 of the TutorVision titles. And so a lot of this was just sort of, in those days, again, the internet was kind of not a thing. So it was a lot of dial-up and a lot of phone conferences. And so I did maps, MapMaster, Shapes in Space, Geographics, Busybodies, and one other I'm blanking on, but if you've got my list of stuff in front of you, maybe you can pull it out of the page.
Yeah, I should have that list, but I unfortunately forgot to print that list.
And so it's lots of pages. And so as the games were being developed, and I wasn't the only one working on them. I think I seem to remember either John Tomlinson or Rick Koenig maybe working on a couple of the other titles. Not sure. It became clear that maybe the product was never going to be released. At the time, there was another educational computer already out there that already had a lot of games. It was called the Socrates. And the only thing bad about the Socrates products was the audio. But everything else was superior to what we were creating on the Intellivision from a sort of graphics and sort of gameplay perspective. And so I don't know whether WorldBook just basically gave it up. And I don't know where the money flow went, and I don't know if anybody got stiffed. And so, but that was my involvement for quite some time. I was involved with collaborating with BLT and coding up games for that platform.
All I remember hearing is that everything kind of fell through. They both sued each other, and then the only thing left were some prototypes.
Yeah. And
I have your list here.
Okay,
Geographics, Shapes in Space, Math Blaster, Map Mazes, Busybodies.
Yeah.
That's the other one.
So Math Blaster is the one I forgot. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't remember how many in total there were. There might have been, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 titles. Can't remember for sure. And so the idea was that the games would present sort of remedial objects for the players to accomplish. Anytime they accomplished something, there was a little cut screen that showed the tutor tiger running across the screen and jumping on a little, what do you call those things you get with a hammer and the bell, the thing goes up to the bell. A strength tester, I don't know what they call those. And so that was sort of your reward, so to speak, for having succeeded. However, we did the reward after every session, even if you didn't do so good. So sometimes Tutor Tiger would come running across the screen, and then he'd jump and land on the thing and would just go, eh. It was completely like underwhelming and almost a diss. It's like, geez, kid, how stupid can you be?
DJC Game Studios, the guy that I was just showing the beer koozie.
Yeah.
He's asking question, Steve, who is the real tough guy, Beach Bum Barney or Judge Injury? Okay,
so those two names, obviously Barney is a kind of a Keith Robinson homage. Normie, Barney, kind of close. My dad, when I was growing up, was a judge. And so this pun of judge and jury, was inspired. Basically, that was my homage to my dad.
And then Benville's saying Vic Vicious or Barf the Caveman.
Yeah, so Dave insisted we do the name Barf the Caveman. I thought it was the dumbest name I'd ever heard. But it made it obviously through the game and people like it. So what did I know?
One of those things like we talked about earlier, sometimes, the path that ends up being is not the intended path, but it worked out. DJC says also, why is Dr. Payne blue? Smurf bloody or Smurf blood possibly?
We'll never know. I mean, remember the Intellivision only had 16 colors and 8 sprites. And so
only so many colors to choose from.
Yeah, you only had so many colors to choose from. And it didn't really make sense to multiplex colors there in order to achieve different hues as the guys were running around doing stuff. So we basically kept that simple. And I think there were maybe 1 or 2 other wrestlers that had oddball colors.
I can't remember. Did I tell you about the I told you about the prototype board I found of TutorVision and sent you the picture, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so did I tell you I also have 2 boards for Spiker?
Oh,
or did
cool.
I just tell you about TutorVision?
Well, that sounds cool. I know I've seen the TutorVision videos that Chris has posted. And I sent those along to Carolyn so that she could see kind of a blast from the past.
Yeah. Okay, where are we at here? So towards the end of making Intellivision games, what kind of happened where, okay guys, this is it, and how did it all kind of end?
Yeah. I remember that at the tail end of 83, heading into early 84, there were concerns about how well the games were selling or not selling. I think Mattel Electronics was given a directive by Mattel Corporate to shed costs. It was when I was hired, they were sort of in a frenzy, and there's sort of like no expense is too high kind of a mentality. And then suddenly they were clamped down. And so there were at least 2 or 3 rounds of layoffs through the latter months of 83 and then the early part of 84. So I do remember at the very end, nobody seemed to be sort of minding the store. And so that was when many of us that made it to the very end sort of did sort of supermarket sweep and grabbed things on the way out that they figured nobody's going to miss these or need these. And so I had several T cards of games in development, both my own and others. We also took advantage of the EEPROM burners to make copies of other games from other companies. iMagic games were very popular because they were really good. And so I had several T cards of, I loved Atlantis. I thought that was one of the greatest games, both from a technical standpoint and just from a fun factor standpoint. And so
I like that one as well.
when you understand what you can and cannot do on the Intellivision, it becomes super impressive how they pulled that game off. And so, so I just sort of remember being encouraged to get my resume ready and to start looking for something after Mattel. I mentioned I got the job at Quotron. I think I started at Quotron the Monday after my last severance check from Mattel ended. So I think I had basically a 3-month paid job hunt holiday after they closed the doors and took back our key cards and stuff.
Okay, so what about Intv Corp whenever that came to an end?
Yeah, I'm less familiar with that since I was sort of arm's length through Dave. So I'm not the right guy to ask about sort of that dynamic since I was basically just a hired gun programming titles. I probably did 2 or 3 a year. Sort of for at that time, I think Dave had begun Real Time Associates. So I think that was basically his new company. And he was hiring me through Real Time. And so at a certain point, when the Intellivision work dried up, that's when I started doing Game Boy and Game Gear games. Dave would do the biz dev and get leads for games that publishers wanted, and then would hire me to do the programming and hire Connie to do the art. A lot of time Dave would do the audio himself since that's one of his main bailiwicks beyond being an executive producer. And then at a certain point in time, I couldn't keep up with the demand that Real Time Associates was getting myself. So Dave encouraged me to open up an office in the Seattle area where I was living at the time. So the directive was hire a bunch of people, teach them everything you know, and increase your productivity from one guy and one game per, I don't know, quarter or half a year or whatever to several. So then I opened the Seattle division of Real Time Associates in 1994, ran that with a handful of programmers and artists initially, and then we kept growing. I think ultimately we grew to about 30, 35 people. Then we were acquired by another company called No Wonder, KNOWWNDER, which then changed its name to Amaze Entertainment a few years later. And so at Amaze, at No Wonder was sort of when I did my last bits of actual game programming. The last title I actually coded anything on was the original Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone title for Game Boy Color. I didn't do much in it, but there's segments of the game where there are cutscenes where the characters are reciting story progression narratives. And all of our cutscenes were static. And they just looked really lame, just a portrait of Harry sitting there with text scrolling beneath him. So I thought, well, we maybe at least need to get them to like blink their eyes, you know, or smile or do something. And so I basically took on the chore in that game of making Harry's eyes blink. And nobody knows this unless I've said it in other interviews, but basically I decided just off on was boring. And so I decided I would do Morse code. And so Harry's blinks of his eyes are Morse code for spelling out the word Harry.
Oh, that's awesome. I wonder if anyone's picked up on that. I wouldn't.
Nobody would, and it's total nerd idiot city. So I mean, yeah.
Michael Hayes, would you pick up on that? He'd be my first guess as someone that just might. Someone was asking, working for Mattel, did you guys get any kind of discount while you were employee discount for anything?
Yeah, there was a company store. Any Mattel employee, whether it was Mattel Toy or Mattel Electronic, could go to the company store. If anybody has seen the Blue Sky Ranger panel video from the 2014 Consumer, what was it, Retro Gaming Expo, Classic Gaming Expo at Vegas.
CGE.
Yeah, I told the story of the rubber duckies that we bought at the company store. It's a great story, so I encourage people to go watch that video. Yeah, that was probably the single funniest thing I can remember from my time at Mattel in the upper level of the cube farm. It was a giant sort of dome, like, I don't know, it was aerospace warehousey building down in El Segundo, California, near where Lockheed is and all that, and Northrop Grumman and all that. And so we had very high ceilings, and it was a wide open area. And so the whole rubber ducky story is a result of going to the company store and seeing this giant crate of rubber duckies. I don't even think they were Mattel branded toys. I don't know why they had them. And we approached the woman at the register and said, "How much are they?" And she said, "They're 5 cents each." And so we said, "We'll take them all." And so we took the entire carton of rubber duckies back to the cube farm. And that's as much as I'll tell now, because the story's in the other video and people can check it out.
Yeah, afterwards, if you could send me a link, I'll add it to the description so people could find it.
Okay.
Roger Matthews, someone that was involved early on in the homebrew scene, says, teaching others the ins and outs along with tricks to produce something is always a double-edged sword. Many times you're teaching someone how to go on their own, unfortunately. Been there, it sucks. Yeah. They're you could be teaching your replacement or someone to be your competitor, but it's just something you have to do at the time.
Yeah. Well, as a boss guy, when I sort of stopped being a programmer full time and I was running teams or running studios, I never had that concern. I mean, I was always more concerned with finding the talent and making sure that they were pointed at the things that would give them the most opportunity for growth and the most opportunity for challenge. And so, yeah, I can understand that sentiment, but for me personally, that was never a concern. I had plenty of employees where it was a concern, where they were like maybe nervous for their own jobs or their own advancement. But for me, it was far less important to have the best idea in the room as opposed to getting somebody to come forth with the best idea in the room.
So are there any good stories that you can share, about programming days or things that happen in the office or, anything that you think would be cool to share?
Well, again, my favorite and funniest story is the one I'll send you the link for.
Okay.
The cube farm was really fun because with the high ceiling, if you needed to get somebody's attention, you could take any sort of stuffed animal or something that wouldn't hurt somebody, and you could just huck it towards their cube. There were like rows and columns of cubes. Like there's maybe like 10 down and 5 across or something. I don't remember how many there were. And so sometimes you'd huck something and it'd hit the wrong cube or the wrong person. And so like, hey, and somebody would stand up and like, what the hell's happening? But it was very fun, very casual. It was, of course, sneaker net. We had floppy disks to carry between our own development system and other programmers' development systems down the end of the cube. There was very little sort of connectivity there. And so, but it was a really fun environment where people would holler if they needed somebody to come play test something or There were always triple action biplane matches and challenges where people had names for the various moves that they would do with the biplanes. It was by far the favored game within the team. We also would have a lot of communal activities. Like we would, I think once a week, we would play softball out. There was a vacant lot or a high school field or something on the other side of the fence from our building at Mattel in El Segundo. And so there were two teams, the Minkoff Measures and the Daglo Decals. And so we would play softball, co-ed softball against each other regularly. And that was a ton of fun. Sometimes before work, we'd go golfing. After work, sometimes there was an arcade nearby. I do remember there was an event where we rented out the whole arcade. And that was a ton of fun. So it was a lot of young guys and even fewer young women. And most people, it was their first job. They had no responsibilities. They were getting a paycheck. So they had disposable income. And it was just a super fun, unique time. I drive by there occasionally when I'm down in the Los Angeles area, and everything's gone. I mean, the whole block of where the corporate headquarters was is now like gone. There's like,
oh wow,
there's like car dealerships or Home Depot. I mean, there's just none of the old structures remain, and so you have to just remember it up here.
Close your eyes and visualize.
Yeah.
Mike's asking if you've ever met George Plimpton.
No, I never did. Although there were attempts to sort of Intellivisionize him. And somebody listening may already know the answer to this. I can't remember for sure, but I could swear I saw a Intellivision screen which had a George Plimpton character animating. And so, but no, he was sort of just the spokesmodel for the brand, but he just did commercials somewhere else. None of that occurred at our cube farm.
All right. So any unfinished games or games that you had wanted to do or were thinking about doing that ever got started or thought about?
You know, I don't think so. I mean, really, Magic Carousel never got finished. It's been put out there, and it's very basic and very rudimentary, and it wasn't finished. When I was told make a kid's first see and say, but on the Intellivision, those were the marching orders. And then at a certain point in time, marketing came back with the numbers. Since it was an IntelliVoice game, they're like, there aren't enough voice modules out there to warrant selling this product. Nobody's going to buy it. Even if every single person who has a voice module buys it, which they wouldn't it's not going to make any money. And so they basically canceled that project.
Yeah, that's the hard thing whenever a game relies on a peripheral that you, even if everyone bought one, you're only going to sell as many as the peripherals that sold.
Yeah.
So, okay, we talked about ideas.
But I mean, it might have been fun to like sort of round that thing out. I was involved when game sizes were changing. The original Intellivision games were all 4K cartridges. They were like miracles, a lot of the original titles, how much they accomplished and how little space they had, which also counts for a lot of the more rudimentary graphics and very basic sounds and sound effects. But when I was at Mattel, suddenly 8K and 16K games became normal. And so suddenly you had either double or 4 times the amount of space. And that's the kind of space that made things like Hover Force possible, or things like Chip Shot or any of the other games that required more memory to keep track of more stuff.
Yeah, and you can have a fun game and have it be, smaller like the early ones, but man, games like Hover Force and Chip Shot, it's just like on another level. Yeah. And man, those games are good, both of them. Mr. Baseman says, okay, here's my story. Wanted Atari for Christmas. Opened that box and it was an Intellivision. No idea what the hell it was. Wasn't long before I realized it was the better console, probably my favorite. That's interesting.
That's great.
Because usually you hear the other way. I wanted Intellivision and they got me Atari because it was cheaper.
That's right. That's right.
Usually they don't opt for the more expensive version.
Well, I remember. So when I was at Mattel and my twins were born in '84, and so that was after the place shut down, but while I was still programming games for real time, for INTV Corp. my kids were too young at that time, new kids being able to play any game. So I never personally owned an Intellivision. And so it was just too expensive. So
Yeah, it was, what was it, like $1,300 in today money
wow.
for a console, something like that? It's the
I
second
did.
most expensive console in adjusted for inflation all time.
Wow, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Roger Matthew says, I've always wished Space Shuttle was finished. I thought that would have been a fun game. I know they did more to it because it's in a package with one of the recent homebrews, and I can get a lot farther in it than I did before on that little demo.
I can't remember who was involved in programming that. Does Roger know, or do you know?
I'm not aware, but Roger, anyone else? Do you guys know anything about Space Shuttle?
Are there
Cyrus
credits?
from Super Mega Graphics 64. Hit that like button, guys. Even if you don't like Casey, you know you like Steve. Michael Hayes says, yeah, I wanted a Transformer and you got me a GoBot. Talking about getting something different.
Yeah.
My parents did that a lot, but I don't think they ever did it with video games because I was very specific. I want this.
I wanted a Transformer and you got me a Tamagotchi.
Were you around whenever they did the Space Cant game?
Yes. And similar to when Dave decided that Barf the Caveman would be a great name for a character in the wrestling game, I was kind of aghast that somebody was going to go there and do that with the title of a game.
Roger can't remember who the programmer was because that was like a tech demo almost early on, wasn't it? That's all we saw for many years.
Yeah, I don't know.
There wasn't much to it.
I don't remember enough about it to know if it was before my time or during my time.
Chris says GoBots were the Kmart of robots.
Yeah.
Any that you can talk about, any cool items or artifacts? I know you talked about the T cards from back in the day. I know you don't have anything now, but if you can.
I gave it all away in 2014 when I went to the Vegas show. At that time, the guys for the Video Game History Museum were trying to raise money. They were going to have an auction at the show to raise more money for the project, which became, of course, the Video Game History Museum in Frisco. And so I decided I was just going to take everything I had, most of which that came from when we left Mattel, and bring it to the show and auction it off. And so I had music keyboard, Lucky keyboard, T cards, consoles. Some of them might have been modified consoles for like Tudor Vision. It could have been anything. And I just boxed it up and took it with me to Vegas. So I basically downsized my way to having nothing left of that period of time. Except I do have the then debuted console that was people couldn't buy the new flashback console at the show because it hadn't been released yet. But you could buy
sleeve.
But you could buy the autographed sleeve and get a free console inside the sleeve. So
I have one of those back here somewhere.
So that's the only thing I have left that has anything to do with Intellivision is the flashback, because the Intellivision iPhone app is no longer supported. So that's the only way I can play old games at the moment is through the flashback.
That's how you played Chip Shot with us one week.
It is. That's right.
T card, Intellivision Gamer fun fact. The T card is one of the few things that I do not have in this room. Intellivision related. There's not much left that I don't have. That's one.
You don't have a T card?
No. I had one when I collected way back. Whenever I got married the first time in 2007, 8-ish, I sold a lot of stuff to make room, Instant Family. And because she thought I was crazy, because I literally had my whole house full of Intellivision gear, and all that stuff went, sadly. But yeah, I've got stuff back, now I have a Tudor Vision. Can't complain.
Yeah, the T cards that I had, I also had, you've seen those tube sleeves that the EEPROMs reside in with a little rubber plug on either end to keep them from sliding out. I had several T cards, and then I had lots and lots of games on ROMs that I burned before we left. So I could like pull off Atlantis and put on like, Microsurgeon or whatever.
Yeah, nice. DJC's asking, of all the Super Pro sports, which one sold the most?
I don't know the answer. I'm sorry. I don't know if there's a way to find that out. That's probably the best thing I would say is to ask Dave Warhol that question. Maybe he knows, or maybe there's
I
some
guess it
statistics.
wouldn't be Spiker, or it wouldn't be so rare and expensive.
Yeah, probably
Uh,
probably not. That was at the tail end, and I don't know how many production runs they made of that. Hence the scarcity.
yeah. Did you get one of those stupid Blix prototype carts?
I don't recall that. No.
Let me make sure nothing else in here. Tutor Pros, a nickname for Super Pro cases with TutorVision motherboards hidden inside. They show up on eBay sometimes, and if people know what they are, they go for quite a bit of money. I have one of those complete in the box, and then later I got lucky and got the TutorVision itself. So what I plan on doing is having the Tutor Pro video upgraded so I can play all the software and make videos for YouTube on them.
I'm
So
guessing that
I'm looking
Chris
forward to that.
Chris probably has an automatic eBay and marketplace search that's always hunting for TutorVision consoles, and he's probably got electrodes wired up to him so that when he's sleeping, if a new one's posted, he's the first to be alerted.
There's a lot of hawks. That's what we call it. Watch eBay all day long, every day. Very rarely are a big group of us not watching eBay every few minutes.
Yes.
The longest I go is like whenever I'm live for the show for the few hours. So if something rare comes up and it's gone, I'm like, I won't see it. Guess Casey. No, Casey doesn't know everything. Casey has most things, but he doesn't know everything. Oh man, lots of little man computer. Actually, I own 3. Chris owns 3 TutorVision Pros.
He's the man.
I might have another. I know I have one. I haven't checked my Super Pro consoles with a test cart. All right. So, I mean, mainly we talk about Intellivision stuff here, but
yeah,
what all have you done? There's a long list. I mean, I'm looking at the list right now. I brought up the thing. Maybe like a few highlights or the sheer number of games that you've worked on after Intellivision.
I mean, that's the thing is my programming days stopped kind of with the first of the 3 Harry Potter games that we did. We also did Lord of the Rings games. We did some Lego Batman stuff. I'm sorry, Lego Star Wars stuff. Several pop culture games over the years with the studios I was involved with. I ran the handheld studio for many, many years, hence the Grandpa Game Boy thing. Starting with Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS, etc. And so whenever our studio would be approached to do multiple SKUs of a product, we had all the bases covered, because while I ran the handheld group, there were other groups that did consoles and then another group that did PC focused stuff. So, I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of games that I'm in the credits of, but mostly just because they always list execs and management people in the credits. So I can't really take a lot of personal credit for those, but.
And just to give you guys an idea, this is the list of games.
I think it's something like, last time I counted, is maybe 270 or something. I don't know. SKUs, not games. Some games we would do many, many, many versions of the game for different platforms, or many localized versions.
Tons of them.
Yeah. All in all, I was in the game biz for about 30 years.
That's amazing.
29 of them, or 28 and a half of them, were on the developer side. And then my last year, a little over a year, was on the publisher side with Activision.
Obviously, as you went on, the pay went up, but what were the most sentimental, what were the most fun times that you had during that? Because you did everything from entry level to, being the guy.
Yeah.
What was the most fun for you?
Well, they're all the different stages were fun for me. Of course, Mattel has a special place because it was the dawn of the video game era. And there aren't that many of us dinosaurs roaming the earth that can talk to that. But then the later years, I had a ton of fun running studios and, watching younger people get hired on, and maybe they were as clueless as I was, maybe they were way smarter than I was, but watching them thrive and succeed and go on to bigger and better things It's always been something I've taken a lot of joy in my career. Towards the tail end, I guess as I moved up the ranks to like VP and head of studios or whatever, I just kind of missed the action in the trenches. And so my last year or two, I probably wasn't that sort of super psyched and into it. And so all good things must come to an end. And so after the video game chapter ended, then I wasn't really missing it because 30 years.
Yeah. It's a long time. I mean, I don't do anything fun for a living, but it pays me well. I've been there about 25 years now, and it goes by so fast. I can't even imagine doing something like that and having fun while you do it. It's like, I just have a job I don't hate, which I call a win for most people, but I don't go to work and have fun.
Well, and this is the thing in the game biz, you're in the entertainment space. So we were always having opportunities, like any of the movie or pop culture tie-ins we did, we would always rent out a theater at the launch of the movie, and everybody from the company and all their family could come and watch the new movie that was debuting that night for free. So we did a lot of extracurricular things to make sure that the mood was light. Company picnics, company outings, team bonding things, team wrap party things. So it was very atypical. It's not what normal corporate America looks like when you're working for video game studios.
Yeah. Were you involved? Did you go to all the like get-togethers that the Blue Sky Rangers would have over the years? Did you go to any of them?
Occasionally I would go. Sometimes I wasn't living in the Southern California area or Northern California area anymore. For many years I was in Seattle. Then I was in Minnesota. So it's only been random times when I was able to make that work.
Are they still doing those on occasion?
Yeah, I believe so. Even though Keith was the driving force behind those, they have still been holding them. Usually it's in January on the anniversary of the day that Mattel Electronics closed. And usually it was at this place called Gino's Pizza, which is where everybody would go to hang out, and wasn't the best pizza, but it was a good hangout space.
Probably close by too.
It was close, yeah.
So on to a new subject. A few years back, I guess it's been more than a few now, whenever you heard about the Amico, what did you think about that? And what did you think about how it all ended up?
Well, I loved the idea, and Bill Fisher and I are pals from the old days, and he's one of the key guys involved in that initiative. I was an early supporter. I sent in my money. I'm still waiting for my wood paneled console. It's really kind of disappointing how it went. A part of me is really not clear on how much COVID had to do with it and how much other things had to do with it, but it's disappointing because I thought it was going to be fun. I was very anxious to get that console to be able to sit down and play those games with my grands. My grands are 10-year-old boy, 8-year-old girl in Minnesota, 10-year-old boy, 8-year-old girl in Seattle, and then two soon-to-be 2-year-olds in Seattle. And so I figured I'd be getting a lot of mileage out of that console playing those family-friendly games.
Family games, and then the old games reimagined. That's what piqued my interest the most as an Intellivision fan, was all those reimagined games. But I think I ordered every color from them. I think I have 2 founders, and then I had the purple one from GameStop, which later got canceled. Wow. But yeah, that was I was really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah,
and so what did you think about Atari, the main competitor, whenever they bought Intellivision?
Yeah, I mean, so here I am. My last video game job was ended in 2012. So that's 13 years ago. And so, imagine 30 years from my days at Intellivision, or 28 plus the other dozen years. I guess I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I mean, it's nice to know the brand survives, but it's also important to know how the brand will be treated. When Keith and Steve had the Intellivision brand, so to speak, you kind of at least knew who was involved because there were guys I used to work with. So I don't know. We'll see.
For me, as just an Intellivision fanboy, with how things were going, and Intellivision was going nowhere, getting bad spotlight. I looked at everything that Atari's doing now in the retro community, and I'm like, it has to be a positive thing. I know things are in the works. I don't know what, but I'm really looking forward in the next year or two. I don't know when, but I'm really looking forward to seeing something happen. I mean, anything's better than nothing. I'm glad Atari, who's focusing on retro right now, has it. Let's just hope they use it in a positive way for all of us Intellivision fans. But it was bitter because it's like your competitor, when you're a kid, you're like, I got Intellivision, I got Atari, or any kind of competing, and now suddenly they bought it, and you're like, well, I guess we're Atari now.
Yeah.
So that part was weird, but it doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so the current homebrew scene, I know you don't know a whole lot about it, but what did you ever think that there would be 200 and something homebrew games for a console that you guys worked on so long ago, with a thriving community still putting out games?
It's amazing to me. And it was amazing to me to discover that people were playing Chip Shot or Slam Dunk,
Yes.
or Body Slam or Hover Force or Spiker anymore. I mean, I was aware that people were collecting titles. I was aware that I wish I'd kept tons more Spikers to cash in whenever I needed an infusion of money. So it's very fun and very cool and very gratifying that people still find them appealing and worth playing. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, we have the Chip Shot League, and we are going to do it again. I can't tell you when. It's supposed to happen this year, and I'm looking forward to that. I love the game. I can tell you, Intellivision Dude plays, Slam Dunk all the time. That's one of his favorite games. Hover Force, I see now and then, and there was just a challenge on it a while back. I love that one, but it hasn't been one that I've played a ton, but I really do like it. Spiker, I've never really played. I tried it, made a video. I never had it, and when I did buy it, it cost so much money, I was afraid to play it.
Well, it's hard to play, and then nobody ever talks about Deep Pockets, Super Pro Pool, and Billiard. But I did that, and I played a lot of pool, also in high school and college, and tried to make as representative a pool game for the Intellivision as was possible, considering there are 8 sprites and there are 16 balls on the table at break.
The flicker.
So you've got a multiplex and you've got a flicker, and I'm sorry, It's just the only way to do it. Once you get down to 8 or less balls, then they get solid, and then it's okay. So maybe starting off playing 9 balls better than playing, a rack for 8 ball. So
I do have that game, and again, I've only tried it a few times.
And I felt like that was a good game. That was a very represented. I mean, it's got billiards as well as pool games, and so if you know the rules for those other billiard type games, it simulates them, and you can play it.
Yep, and it's a good game. It's not easy to get these days, and it's not cheap either. It's supply and demand.
Yeah. So it's the new Spiker, huh?
What?
It's the new Spiker.
There's a lot of them. It just depends. The homebrews, once people start collecting, there's some that you had to be a club, or there's only 50 of them made, and there's hundreds and hundreds of collectors, and one pops up and it's like a game that was $60 is selling for $2,000 to $3,000. It's like, whoo. But yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
All right, so a few more here. Is there anything, again, I know you don't know a lot about it, but was there anything, you said you did some of the things where people said, how'd you do that? Like you didn't know you couldn't, so you did it. Yeah. Was there anything that you ever wanted to try, or anything that you would like to see done in a homebrew game that people are still putting out? I know you probably don't have an opinion on that.
I don't have enough perspective to be able to even offer an answer. The example I always give of not understanding how you couldn't do something was done on Magic Carousel. For the carousel itself, as it spins around, there are flickering lights that simulate how an actual carousel looks when it's spinning. And I figured out a way to sequence Graham to make that happen that nobody had ever tried before. And it was a very convincing effect. Probably the best effect of the screen. The animals going around were very rudimentary and crude given the limitations of sprites. But I felt like that game sort of really nailed things you could do with background animation. And so, again, other people either said, I don't know how to do that, or it can't be done. And sort of little by little picked up tidbits of knowledge from around the studio and then figured out how to apply them to make something like that happen. And luckily it worked.
So did you just kind of stumble upon that while you're trying to do it? Was it trial and error until you got it to work?
Well, at the time, I was assigned to work with Joe to do graphics. Joe is one of the young artists that was a part of the studio. He had done, well, at the time, we worked on Magic Carousel together. He had just been hired, I'd just been hired. So we're kind of both like, can't believe they hired us. I can't believe they're paying us money to do this. And so we kind of worked closely to figure out, like, he would come up with ideas for looks or animations, like the whole Hover Force intro sequence where the pilot runs out and gives you the thumbs up and pulls back on the throttle, all those sort of action cutscene things that really weren't being done in games at that time was all his brainchild. And so he would just come up with these vignettes, and I would have to figure out how to make it move and work. But for the carousel, he had drawn a beautiful background sort of sketch of what the carousel could look like. And as we tried to figure out a way to simulate making it look like it was going around, we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we somehow made it look like the lights were flickering and blinking on and off? And so we did that. And then, I guess I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but the stars in the sky above the carousel are, again, our initials. So my initials are on the left, SEE, and his initials, JAF, are on the right.
Oh, wow, I'm going to have to look at that.
Twinkling stars that are up above the top of the carousel, up in the sky.
I didn't notice initials. Is that something that's kind of hard to see? You got to be
abstract.
Looking for it.
It's like looking at a constellation and drawing the lines, for your for your zodiac sign kind of thing. But once you know they're there, it's easy to see them.
Yeah. Because I didn't notice it, and I tend to notice, things that aren't easily noticeable when I'm looking at it, but I never noticed that. Salvador saying Hover Force is one of the top Intellivision games, in my opinion.
That's amazing to me because it was really cobbled together at the end. Had it not been for Dave Warhol putting actual like enemy AI and smarts into the game, it was basically just a giant flying simulator with, alleged 3D graphics. Basically, the way the liquid-filled prisms worked is they separated the darker colors like the blues and greens from the lighter colors like the reds and yellows. And so we basically had to make sure everything down in the city was darker colors and everything that was coming up at you was brighter colors to help create that 3D effect. And the glasses kind of helped in that regard. The game still plays fairly 3D, but it's
great.
But it was not a game until Dave did his stuff, and then it became a game. I wish, in hindsight, there's things about each game I wish I could fix or make a little different or a little better. So that's a game where I kind of feel like the controls weren't polished very well. It's very brute force. You're either flying, you start off slow and then you're flying like a bat out of hell, full speed ahead. And then you got to slam on the brakes and then you got to slowly start moving in the other direction. And it isn't the most elegant control paradigm at all. And had we had more time to play test it or tweak it, I think it could have been a much more fun game.
I have nothing bad to say about it at all. Once I learned about it, it's like, man, that game's fun. And if you want to really, show someone what looks cool on Intellivision, I think that's one of the games that you pop in. There's a few, but just the graphics, the scenes, it is fun and it looks great. So I have nothing bad to say about that one. Cyrus Super Mega Graphics 64 says, thank you so much, Steve, for all you have done and continue to do for our community. Personally, I will always cherish your selfless sacrifice as you struggled to teach me golf. You rock. Cyrus was the one that needed the most help.
Yes, Cyrus, do you know how to putt now? Have you forgotten? Do you need another lesson?
Hopefully he'll want to play again. As soon as DJC gets it going, we'll do another golf league because, man, I miss that. I bug DJC like every couple weeks. Hey, any update on the golf league? I want to play it again. All right. Where are we at here? I know a lot of people have talked about it since you came back to the scene last year, whenever you were on Papa Pete, you went to PRGE. A lot of people have been talking since then. What are the chances of there ever being another Intellivision game by Steve Ettinger? Because I'm not kidding when I say there's a lot of people that would love to see that.
Well, I can't say that they're a strong percentage, but I also can't say that it's zero. I know nothing about the development environment, the programming language. I do still remember everything about the hardware. I do remember everything about the Intellivision assembly language. I used to have in my head every instruction and what it would return and how many decals or bytes and what the flags that were set were for those operations. I still have my little Your Friend the Exec manual that I could go back and refresh my memory on those specifics. But everything was coded in the 1610. And so there was a time when I was starting to program in Z80 for the Game Boy was basically an emasculated Z80, and the Game Gear was a true Z80 with all the instructions. And so there were times when I would try to program using more sort of Intellivision-esque coding style rather than Z80 coding style, since I was familiar with it back in those days. But nowadays, I have no idea how people are doing it. But it'd be interesting to learn, I bet.
Benville's asking you what your favorite sports game is. You've talked about a few sports that you like. If you had to pick one, what's your favorite?
Oh, the ones I did, it's golf.
Yeah, golf, chip shot.
I love chip shot.
Yes.
Except for a couple things. I wish I'd done a couple things differently, but it's mostly pretty good.
We got chip shot 2. Kool-Aid Man 2 returned to Jonestown.
That's great. Or ET2, the exhumation.
Yeah. So let's say you get the urge, you're going to program a game. Are you likely to do it the old school way, or would you be interested in learning how most people are doing it these days, like Inty Basic?
I have little doubt that doing it the old way would actually work. I can't imagine. I mean, it took specialized hardware and compilers and linkers, and so I have to believe that however people are doing it now is the way to go. But again, I know nothing about it right now.
I mean, I'm just a promoter, a game player, a collector. I wish I could do things like that. I know nothing about it, but I'm pretty sure most people are using Inty Basic at this point.
Okay.
And the games they're putting out with the size, how big they are. It's amazing what they can do. I'll tell you that much.
Well, if I were to do it, I would definitely want to enlist the help of Connie to do the super graphics again.
Super graphics.
If she's interested. But I'm sure there are plenty of other new school artists in the event that Connie takes a pass. But I think it would just take a good game idea and some sort of spark of inspiration and motivation to try to do something new on the platform. And again, everybody's so spoiled by handheld, by their phones, and the games are so ubiquitous everywhere. It's hard to imagine an Intellivision game being fun.
You remember when you helped me shop for this?
That's right. I remember.
That was fun, and I need to get more games on there. But that's a mobile way to play Intellivision is amazing, it works so well.
I have to get more on mine as well. And right now I'm in Seattle, but I left mine in Minnesota. So I'm going to have my wife bring it back out. She's going there in a couple weeks for a week or two. So I'll have her bring it back, but I'll have to figure out how to get games onto it. I only learned just the beginnings of it at the show last week.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, like I said, my life's been so crazy busy. The things like that, like, hey, let's go ahead and tinker around and figure that out. That's the kind of stuff that I get put off, and I never come around. It's sitting right here, literally since then, right next to me every day.
You asked me the question of, what would I want to do? I seem to remember many times in my programming days, especially for the INTV titles, where Dave would approach me with, okay, here's something that INTV wants, and it's going to be a sports game, and you have your choice of like hockey, football, or basketball, or whatever. And so I would choose the one that I was either the most familiar with or the most passionate about, hence the ones that I did. Really, wrestling was the only game I ever did that I didn't know anything about really before I started working on it. And so I had to cram and do a lot of watching WWF, as it was called in those days, to come up to speed on that. And then I actually ended up later doing another wrestling game title or two for the handhelds when I was at Real Time Seattle. So I guess I'd put it back to you and your audience to go, what are some ideas that you guys might have for titles that seem to be missing or gaps in the Intellivision sort of library? And then maybe something on those suggestions will jump out at me and I'll go, ooh, maybe that'd be fun.
Yeah, I like that. And when you started talking about the possibility of if you did a game and Connie and like the idea of multiple people from way back making an Intellivision game today is just, it's exciting. I'm not going to lie.
Collector's
I
edition.
think it would be huge news.
Fossil edition. The moribund edition.
So on that note, while we're sitting here talking about that, if you are okay with it, I would love to buy the Inty basic. There's 2 books, and it is let me see, I got the titles of them: Programming Games for Intellivision and Advanced Game Programming for Intellivision. I would like to gift those to you from Oscar if you're willing to accept that.
Oh, that'd be swell. Thank you. Except the problem is if you have to pay for them and you're now like on no income, I feel really bad.
Oh no, I'm all right. But I would love to do that and see what you think, because I know that's the way most games are made today. And I'll contact Oscar and I'll PM you after, and that's awesome. I'll get them sent your way.
That sounds like a lot of fun, and maybe that'll also inspire me to get off my retired ass and do something.
Yeah, that all that stuff just sounds amazing. The Masters 2026 at Augusta for the Intellivision by Steve Ettinger.
Yeah.
Golf. And back to that earlier, like whenever you said you would pick something that you're passionate about, that you love, to me, that's what makes sense. If they had me go do something for something that I don't know much about, not really into, it's not going to come through in the game. Like whenever you had love for golf, you know, the sports that you did, because the games turned out so well, you're not going to put that love and effort into something that you're just not into.
I totally agree with you. And I can remember many times both programming games at Real Time, programming games later at Kryptonite or at No Wonder or at Amaze or F9, or even overseeing teams developing games at Activision. I'd come across developers and artists that basically were assigned to a project that had no idea about like either the game genre or the brand, and it was just very clear that without that sort of affinity for what they're working on, everything was just sort of mailed in and lackluster. And so it really takes somebody who's super into something to bring their best to the table. And I'm also super like nitpicky and detail oriented and a perfectionist. And so it was hard for me to apply perfectionism to things I didn't really know a lot about. So that's why it was more important to be able to do games that resonated with me.
And I find it stressful whenever people ask you to help or do things for things that you're not, in the know. Because for me, that's stressful. It's like, I'm supposed to do all that and I don't really know what I'm doing. It's like, how can I do that? Yeah. Kurt Bradshaw says, I played Body Slam and Hover Force a lot. Me and my dad played Chip Shot a lot.
Nice.
That was good memories of, playing with family.
That's awesome.
Michael Hayes is now saying, let me go through my personal list of game ideas.
Excellent.
So we might be getting some stuff sent your way.
Go ahead, Hayes. I challenge you, Hayes.
He's the right guy for that. Mike, we did talk about this earlier. He possibly is going, but there's no plan set. But you will be back, right? He's talking about PRGE this year.
So this year it's later than it was in the year than last year.
It's October 17th, 18th, 19th, somewhere like that.
Yeah, last year was right at the end of September, as I recall.
Yep.
I think I'll be in the Seattle area this time instead of in Minnesota, so it might be easier for me to get to it than it was last year. So I haven't decided yet.
Mike is probably wondering too, because he is also returning this year. DJC says new Chip Shot 2. Well,
only if he's going to quit swinging blindly and follow the actual swing directions. He's the last guy I will make a new Chip Shot for until he figures out how to swing in the current one.
All right, Chuck. Chip Shot 2 is on your shoulders.
Chuck, you better show me you know how to swing. One thing I will say, watching Chuck play was amusing, and hearing his colorful swearing was also very amusing.
To be honest, a lot of us that watch YouTubers, we love it. we love watching people fail. Like Mike in here. Mike's really good at a lot of games. So when he's struggling, or it's we love watching it.
So I'm the opposite. I was like, every time somebody wouldn't swing correctly, or every time somebody didn't line their putt up correctly, it was just killing me, and I just couldn't take it. That's why I offered the private lessons.
I never got private lessons.
You didn't need it.
Yeah,
If you want them, you got them.
I don't think they would have liked that if I had some some private lessons, because I think I kicked butt in that league.
Yeah, well, it was watching Cyrus putt was just so painful, and then learning what he thought those icons or images on the screen were, it all made sense to me why he was struggling. And I never thought about how he was interpreting the way the slope indicators, like what they mean on the screen. So that was,
we were trying to figure that out.
Once he told me what he thought was happening, then it all made sense why he was doing what he was doing.
Oh yeah, because he's just like back and forth. Mr. Baseman says he's Astro Smash. He has an excuse, but during the league, most of the time he wasn't partaking in drinks.
That we know of.
Yeah, that we know of. It definitely wasn't like his Astro Smash show. Yeah, Mike, there's a lot of that on Saturdays whenever you go live, and that's just part of it. It's hard. It's literally hard to pay attention to chat, be live on there, thinking about all the things going on, and then focusing on a game, trying to do well because everybody's watching.
That's right.
It's not easy. Super Mega Graphics 64, that Cyrus says we need to have Steve recorded lessons for future players, like tips and tricks recorded and then put them as YouTube videos so everyone can come watch and get better.
There you go. And then that could be a whole exhibit in Frisco at the game museum.
Oh, I never talked about that when we were talking about the game museum. So this coming June, I have in-laws, brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws. Most of my wife's family is in a small town in Texas, about 45 minutes from Frisco. So next year, I told my wife, we're going to be there 3 weeks. I'm taking 1 day, and I'm going to meet Cyrus, and we're going to the game museum.
2 or 3 days. Take 2 or 3 days.
I don't know if I can do that.
1 day's not going to be good enough to see everything. Plus,
okay, so might have to do 2.
Somebody like you, if you let the guys know in advance, like the amount of stuff they have on display in the museum, they have like 50 times that stuff back in the back, and that probably would be way more interesting to you to see all the stuff that they've got the most amazing collection, but they can't display it. Just
not enough room. That's the kind of stuff that you really is cool to see whenever you get behind the scenes.
Totally. I think you need to reach out to John Hardy and just ask for a behind the scenes tour for a day or two back there. You'll love it.
For that, I would definitely come back a second day. But whenever you're doing, we only go to my wife's in-laws every few years because it's a big trip. So it's like, hey guys, sorry, you guys have fun visiting. I'm gonna go to the gaming museum for 3 days. I would be in trouble.
You do it anyway, going to the PGR.
2 days. Yeah, I know. And believe me, she it's not that I'm gone, it's that it's so many days so far away with no help.
You're having fun.
Yeah. And nobody else is there. This year they're going though, not to PRGE, but grandbaby's born. We're taking my kids, so I have a lot less room. I'm gonna have to rent a big vehicle, like a big SUV, because the whole family, all the luggage, the stuff for the grandbaby, all of it's going up there when I go for PRGE. Then from there, 40 minutes to Portland. So I'm also going to be a little bit limited on what I can buy.
Because you won't be able to bring it back.
Yeah. Let me see here. We got Carlos Madruga, one of the best programmers we have currently, in my opinion. Steve would be a great judge for the next Inty Basic contest. Maybe he could even propose a theme for the competition.
Fun.
Are you familiar with those contests?
Not a bit.
They did Inty Basic contests, and people make, sometimes they're full games, sometimes like last time they were a bunch of mini games, and a lot of really good games have come out of that.
I would be willing to discuss that further, sure.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Kind of like a celebrity judge.
As long as there's not a dunk tank.
No. I got great behind the scenes for the Strong Museum. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, that kind of stuff, especially if they let you record back there, that's the kind of stuff that people would love to see.
You're friends with those guys, right?
You talking about the museum?
Yeah.
I know Rob Alvey helps down there. That's the only person I know of the name, but I don't know him.
I'll introduce you to Hardy and his partners.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Maybe that would help me, for sure be able to get back there.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've talked to Cyrus for years, and he's going to go with me. We're going to meet up and go to the museum, and that's going to be a lot of fun too. I like meeting people that you talk to for years, and you go to an event or somewhere and you get to hang out with them. It's like you already know them, but it's just going to be a little different.
Yep.
Okay, I got only a couple more, and then we'll let you go. I know it's kind of getting later for you.
I'm still West Coast like you.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. You're not over there. You're in Seattle right now.
Seattle. Yep.
Okay, that makes more sense. All right. So let me see live stream. Pinsate. Yep, Pinsate was one of them. Yeah, that was a good game. Then there's some other stuff that you will be seeing soon in one way or another. I can tell you that. Where are we at here? Okay, so we got the books. And I wanted to bring up that it was really, really cool to meet a Blue Sky Ranger and have you at PRGE and just hanging out like one of the guys, all the information, the stories. I meant to have I have a video of you signing Chip Shot. And
I remember that.
I have like probably 10 copies of Chip Shot, and I forgot to bring any of them. And so I had to rush around trying to find one, and I have a video of you signing it.
Yeah.
And, then you helped me shop. How many people can say they've had a Blue Sky Ranger help them shop at PRGE?
If I'm going to sign more copies of Chip Shot, there is sort of an escalating price for each subsequent signature.
Yeah, so you helped me buy one of the DSi XLs.
I thought you bought two.
Yeah, more than one. And you actually at one point carried my shopping bag, said, "Here, let me carry that." And then I'm just buying stuff and throwing it in, and you actually carried around my bag for me as I shopped.
You needed your hands free to test stuff out.
That was awesome. That was a very fun time. And then whenever we did the Chip Shot League, that was really cool too, because here we're playing the game online, we're doing a Chip Shot League, and you've got the guy that made the game giving people pointers and telling us about the game and history and all that stuff. To me, it was fun playing with those guys, but you being there and telling us all those things, and that's something that you don't get. So, yeah. I really enjoyed Chip Shot with you and all your help. And then when you started giving the guys private lessons, you made it a little closer of a game. I enjoyed that too. That one time when you played, that was a lot of fun whenever you came on and played.
It wasn't as much fun as it would have been if I'd beaten your asses, but it was fun.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but since you did, I am the only person that has beat Steve in his own game. I don't think I think it was pretty close, to be fair.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. And like I say, it was equal parts joy at watching you guys have fun and horror at how badly people were doing because they didn't do things the right way.
It's not easy unless you played a lot or you have someone like you helping us out.
Well,
and whenever you're, a lot of the things you would say to help certain people, I was listening too, because I learned a lot as we went on. Yeah. And I've always loved golf games, played the original. So this one I just flowed right into it.
There are times when you're playing it where you can, if you know certain things about how the slope of the green, even if you're not at the green yet and you're off the green and you check the wind and you check the slope, it is possible to make shots from far away by knowing those little details. And so it can be very fun, but like you said earlier, like golf, it can also be just infuriating.
So here we go. It took getting Steve Ettinger on for an interview and talking about the league. DJC Game Studios is saying Chip Shot Golf League starts in September. Hoping to have my streaming studio figured out. And yes, I really hope Steve can be there to play, comment on us playing. That made the league right there. That was a lot of fun.
It was super fun, I have to say. It was just great. I was very tickled that it was all happening, and I'd be happy to do it again.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I've been bugging Chuck. He can tell you at least every few weeks. I'm like, hey, when are we going to play again? Because now it's been so long, I'm going to have to fire up the game and play a few rounds.
Me too.
I got the X on my back.
That's the only game. Well, one of the only games I've got on my DSi.
So Mr. Baseman's never played Chip Shot. If you like golf games and you like retro, Mr. Baseman, you've got to play Chip Shot. And if you don't have it, send me a message. I will send it to you. I have some loose copies and I have a ton of box copies. So I will send you a copy if you send me a message.
First, start with PGA golf, so you learn the swing mechanism.
Don't chuck it.
Then graduate
DJC.
to Chip Shot.
Chip Shot's great. I mean, if you like golf, you'll love that game. Trust me. Yes, fits perfectly with the Intellivision library. Postile says, actually, I met Bliss 2 years ago along with his wife, Cannabis Kid. I have now Bliss as a friend for a few years, and even before that, he's a great friend. I have nothing but love for him. I'm not sure where I think I missed something. Yeah, Retro Bliss is, I've been meaning to say too, I said it before, he just had shoulder surgery. So we want to wish our buddy good recovery and back to gaming in no time, I hope. A Bears fan has not played it either. You need it. It's not real expensive. It's not like a common, but it's not real expensive, and you won't regret it if you like golf games. It's my favorite Gen 2 golf game. Nothing else even close.
I told you about the golf animation being Jack Nicklaus, right?
No, I don't. If you did, I don't remember that.
So back when Connie was trying to create the animation for the golfer, the swinging golfer in the golf window, she didn't really have much to go on, and so her first couple attempts were not okay. They were not like going to make it in the game the way she drew the animation for the guy swinging the club. So there is a Jack Nicklaus book called Golf My Way, I think is the title. And it had, for those days, sort of stop action photography of him swinging a club. And, there's stop action of him doing a drive, and there's stop action of him hitting wedges. And so I basically sent Connie the book and said, use this as reference. And so the stop action shots of him doing, let's say, a drive probably consisted of like 20, 30 frames. And our golfer guy probably has like 7 frames or something. So she decided to keyframe it and figure out which ones would help convey how a golfer should look swinging the club. And she did a great job. And I think the keyframing she selected was perfect. But not many people know that it was actually patterned off of Jack actually being photographed in stop motion swinging his club.
That's awesome.
And Jack, if you're listening, sorry, no, you never got any royalties.
No credits, no royalties.
Sort of like
but it's an honor.
Harry Potter blink.
All right, so I think that's it. If there's any other questions in chat, throw them up right now, and we'll wind it down, and then we'll do the rest of the show. And then also, while everyone's still here, I'll bring this up because DJC, after we're done here, he has this little thumbnail. He is going to play all Steve Ettinger games on tonight. Not all of his games, but all the games he's playing tonight are Steve Ettinger games. Hover Force, Body Slam, and Chip Shot. And he's got a little picture there of Steve in a tux and some cool video game glasses.
I object to that photo.
So after this, be sure to head on over to DJC Game Studios and check out Chip Shot Golf, Body Slam, and Hover Force. All 3 great games.
Body Slam is a ton of fun to play. It's hilarious. Yeah. When Dave and I were developing that game, we would play against each other, and all the different moves that you can select, the spin heave and the rope climb and just everything in there, we would just laugh our asses off as we were playtesting the thing. It was intended to just be super tongue-in-cheek, super not authentic to real wrestling, and just designed to be as fun as we can. That was one where I feel like we did get enough of an opportunity to play test and tune it. Again, no controls are perfect in any game I ever did because it just didn't have enough time to really put it through its paces. But I think that one is super fun to play.
That's one, to be honest, I need to play a little bit more. I've never really learned how to play other than button mashing a little bit.
Yeah, and definitely more fun to play as a 2-player against somebody in person. Playing against computers, fine, but where you really get the laughs are when you can play with somebody live.
And that's really how I prefer all the Intellivision games. Either a 1-player contest where you're competing against each other, but I love like where you're playing against each other. That's where it's at for me. Cyrus is saying Hover Force is fantastic.
That's a 1-player game. That one,
Yeah.
there's no two playing with that one.
He said it before we started talking about that. I'm a little behind. Bears fan Goomba. I played Body Slam the other night for the first time, and it's great. One of my favorites.
Nice.
That's another one that Intellivision dude really likes. He says, DJC says it's James Bond with Steve's face stretched over his face.
Like
Bond.
my cadaver face. Yikes.
I love DJC, but I'm always sleeping when he's live. That's because you go to bed early because you have to get up so early, Poe. So, well, all right. So a couple big things that came out of tonight, beyond all the cool questions and answers, is we're going to be sending you some Inty basic books from Oscar. Also a link to, I don't even know what you call it, the software. And also you are going to be in on our golf league, that's Chip Shot Golf League, that's coming up in September. And now that we have some kind of rough idea, at least a month, I'm excited for that. I'm going to have to start sneaking up here and losing some sleep and getting some rounds in, because how we do it, you never know what you're going to play.
My flashback is also in Minnesota.
Uh-oh.
And I don't know that I'm going to have my wife mule it back here when she comes back to Seattle this time or not. So maybe I'll be
20 of those
and
things.
not playing.
I've got like 20 of those things. If you want one, I'll send you one.
Well, I mean, but if you're going to do it in September and the show isn't until October, we won't cross paths. So we'll figure something out.
Yep, definitely. I don't mind sending one of those. I was going to do a lot of the ultimate flashbacks, but now they haven't been doing them for so long. I have a few to collect, and I've just got a ton of them laying around. So,
okay, well, I have to see. We only have one TV at this house, and I have to see. It's a newer one with very few inputs, probably because it was super cheap. So I'll have to see if there's even a way to attach or connect.
Yeah, the RCA jacks.
Yeah, I doubt it has RCA. It probably only has HDMI.
Roger says, thank you, Steve. Appreciate all of your time, stories, and information. Love this episode. Thank you, Casey. Mike's Gaming Gala. Great interview, Casey and
Thanks,
Steve.
guys.
Thank you. And some of these guys did send me a few questions too. I didn't call out names, but I kind of just put them in my timeline and stuck them in, with what I was asking. Sure. Cyrus, best interview ever. How many people can play in the golf tournament? I believe it depends up to there's a good amount of people that can play. Chuck says, don't practice, Casey. You are fine. No need to. Well, if Steve's going to be playing, he's going to be out for blood.
I will want to win. Yes.
Casey has a training regimen. Yeah, it's called practice. Baseman, great episode. Thanks. There are RCA to HDMI adapters on the cheap that will work for something like a flashback.
Yeah, Chuck, I did have to get one of those for when I was hooked up in Minneapolis. So I'll just buy the same thing to have out here unless we just bring it with. I don't know. We'll see. But yes, you're right. That's how it will have to happen.
Benville saying, thank you for your time, Steve and Mr. Postile. Thank you, Casey and Steve. You've kept me up way past bedtime. All right, Steve, is there anything else before we head on out?
If you get any other follow-up questions from people after we go off the air, I'll be happy to answer offline, and you can share it with them however you share stuff. So,
and send me that link.
I will send you the link.
We'll be in contact afterwards too, because I need to
find it and send it to you.
I need to get your address where you want me to send those books, and then I'll get a hold of Oscar tonight, and then we'll get that going.
Great.
All right, Steve. Well, it's been a real pleasure. It's been a lot
of fun. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure having you on, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you at PRG again. And I'm also looking forward to Golf League, and however you're a part of it, whether you're in the chat and helping us, or if you get to play too, which is my ultimate goal. Okay. You're the only challenge I've got.
Hey, thanks a lot.
All right, Steve. We'll talk soon.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. That was awesome. Blue Sky Ranger, Steve Ettinger. Very fun. One of the best times I've had doing an interview, and he's always great. And it's very cool. I'm so excited to be sending him those books. Let's hope that it leads to something and get Connie involved. How cool would that be to get a few of the old Blue Sky Rangers together? And something that I just realized I forgot to talk about, if he's familiar with Audacity games, you got David Crane, Gary Kitchen, Dan Kitchen, and that's basically what they could be doing there. You know, they're old OG guys making new games, and that would be really cool to see on the Intellivision side. I know I'm not lying. I got little like goosebumps just thinking about that. Yeah. So that's exciting. Everyone's saying thanks. We still got some more show, guys. Don't everybody leave. If it's late, of course. But we're still going to have a little bit of news. We got a homebrew highlight. So if you got to go, you got to go. But I still got a little bit of show. Thank you, Stephen Casey. I better get ready for my show later, guys. I'll only be a few more minutes, DJC. And then I got to go down and I'll pop into yours too. Again, guys, we'll pop this up. DJC is going to go live here shortly, and he's going to be playing Steve Ettinger games. All right, so there's the thumbnail. I know you guys know who DJC is. Baseman, show's over. Bye. It won't be too much longer, Chuck. I just got to get the news. I'm still here. Thank you, Mike. So Intellivision news. What do we have? Now I've kind of lost track. Usually I do all this stuff at the beginning. There's not a whole lot. So we've got the weekly challenge. Let me pop over. I got the right size. It's actually still on the webpage, I think. Here we go. This week was Whitewater, and the results: Kurt Kietzke, 23,940. We got Kevin Schultz, the guy who does this weekly challenge, at 8930. Romaine, 7920. Allen, 1100. Jose, 710. Michael Doherty, 560, and Gotti Saw 320. And this week they're going to be playing Diner. I'm going to have to tell Retro Bliss about this. He loves that game, as a few others do. I like it, but I'm not very good at it. But if I get some time, I'm definitely going to... Oh my gosh. I just shot it all over the screen. Yeah, that was a bad choice of words. All right, so next up, I wanted, if you guys don't already know about this, Zilla Rush. He's doing Intellivisions issues, digital issues. There are a lot of ads, some information, some fun commercial old stuff. I enjoy him. You spend 5-10 minutes looking through it. He's getting better every time. So there's a link in the description. I think there's one in there. There should be. AtariAge, Intellivisions digital fanzine. If you search it up, there's one thread. Every time he puts a new one, he'll add it like you see right here. They're just a free download. Very cool. Love seeing people doing television content. Definitely go support it. Click a like, leave a comment. Let them know that you like it, that you enjoyed looking at it. People that put out content, that's why they're doing it, especially when it's free. They love people enjoying what they put out. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, and it went bye-bye. Let's see. Go back. Did it come back? No. All right, guys. Give me a quick second here. Hey, look, there's Steve. This was a picture. I used the picture from him and I at PRGE. I was originally just going to put a picture of him and crop him out. I'm like, no, that's perfect. I need to be on there too. So what better picture for the thumbnail than one of myself with Steve? All right. So I had it all here. I promise you I had this ready. And we're almost there. Is this it? Nope, not it. That's talking about there. I think this is it. Okay, so William Moeller, if you've been looking for ROMs, this is the mother lode. A lot of stuff that's never been available or very rarely available. If you go in there, Miner 29er, $5. There's 3 game packs. If you're still doing that, it was Caverns of Mars, Jar's Revenge, a Miner 2049er, 3 ROMs for $10. And then right here, he has a price list. And he's doing a discount if you buy so many. But there are a ton of great games that you can buy the ROMs for. He explains the difference between a standard and a JLP ROM. And this post was taken from Intellivision Homebrew Games. I believe the same post as Intellivision Invasion as well. But if you've been looking for any of these ROMs, I suggest you grab them. You can't beat the price. It's a whole ROM package in most instances. And, you know, I'm going to have to go through and see. I focus on hardware. I play carts and as often as I can. But I still always support anyone that sells ROMs if I don't already have them. So I'm going to have to go through this list and buy whatever I don't already have. But I suggest you guys do the same. I'm assuming he's going to keep selling them, but you never know whenever it can come to an end with the ROM sales. All right, what do we have next? Rev, Intellivision Revolution. he has been listing a ton of homebrew games, some of them pretty rare, hard to find. He's been bringing them back. And just give you guys a little insider information, he is not listing several in a row. So if you go look and you see the link and crap, you know, my game's gone, I wanted Castle Death, someone that was a recent post, I just missed it. Keep looking. What he's doing, he's selling them, and then he's putting another one on. So a lot of the games are going to have multiples being sold. You just got to keep watching. So don't give up if you thought it was sold and it's sold out and you're going to have to wait for the next one. Go ahead and just keep watching. They'll be there. All right. Oh, boy, I've missed a lot of chat. And I left that up there. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, he does. Retro Bliss loves Pac-Man for the 2600. One of his favorite games. He'll be saying some Phil style cussing if he hears me say that. Get the Windex. He does. It's his favorite game. Yes, we're talking about Pac-Man 2600. And I mean, honestly, I think there's several people. That Pac-Man game, I had a lot of fun with it. In fact, I played it before I played the arcade, so I had none of this, oh man, this game sucks kind of attitude. It was just a, you know, dot munching game that we played for high score. When I saw the arcade, I'm like, wow, this is way cooler. But I liked it. I think I was under the impression, you know, none of the games are as good at home as they are in the arcade. That took many, many years to happen. So if you're under the influence of certain substances, yeah, Pac-Man 2600 for me is a fever dream. All right, so mail call. I do have a few cool items. Let me switch it on over to mail call. Don't forget, no comments up on the screen. So these don't come around too often. And you see at the top, I mean, obviously, you know, this is an Atari game, but right at the top, Intellivision. So this was a series of bootleg games. And for whatever reason, they say Intellivision on them. So what happens when something says the word Intellivision on it? I buy every one I see. I think I have 2 or 3 of them, maybe with this one. This one is tennis. Have you guys ever seen this before? It's like Intellivision variant collectors will collect anything. All right, so this is just a couple of basic shirts. Whenever we were doing back to school shopping for the kids, I saw a few shirts. I'm like, yeah, why not? I paused my game to be here. Won't hurt to have a few other gaming shirts. This one I really kind of got for the other channel if I ever get back to doing stuff on it. Here we go, Super Mario Brothers. And speaking of Phil and Retro Bliss, what do I have here? I'm a Retro Bliss Ninja for Power Strike 2. And that's the first time I ever played the game. I think only 2 people submitted a score. And I had to play this one on emulation because I don't have part 2. I do have the first one. So I'm very happy to add this card to my collection. Normally, I'm getting them for Intellivision games when Mike's not playing them. But I did get one this last time. Yeah, I got it. I actually got it Friday or Saturday, I think. And so this is an interesting thing too, because I don't think I've ever showed it. So somehow, I believe I got this at PRGE. I could be wrong. This is for the Jaguar. And I don't believe I ever showed it off. Whenever we were going through my son's room, it was randomly under his bed. I'm like, what the heck, Robbie? Honestly, I don't even remember buying it. So it could have been a couple of years ago. But, you know, it gives you RGB, RCA, and S-Video from your Jaguar. So now I'm looking forward to trying that now that I know I have it. Yeah, Mike, I really wanted to beat you at Worm Womper. I don't really care about Ladybug, but I love Worm Womper. And I got right around, or I can't remember if it was right 2 or my personal best for Worm Womper, but it was still like 20,000 under the score that you submitted. And I did all this on the last day, played all 4 games of the contest, and there was just no way I could sit there and give Worm Womper that amount of time for the possibility of beating your score, I wouldn't have slept at all. So I'm like, hopefully it's enough for second. And I think it was. Catch up on chat here. Michael Hayes. Oops. I've been playing Atari Tennis on Xbox Game Pass Retro Classics. I still don't have that because I don't have the level of Game Pass that you have, apparently. I just never play. I'm always playing the old games. Finally got the gold medal for greater than 100 returns in a single volley. Woo. Mike got his cards today, too, from the Retro Bliss Ninja Contest. He got 2. I only got 1. Ladybug, Intellivision, and Wormwomper. So those are 2 different contests because there's never been 2 Intellivision games in one contest. One more plug right here. I got DJC koozie. I don't have a fancy beer or even a soda in there, but I just wanted to show it off. My throat's getting dry. PRG from Songbird. I love my Jag. How do you say it? AIOA? AIOA. I have not used it. I didn't even know I had it. That's the kind of purchases I make. Yeah, there was a back. I thought so because he asked me if I got all the ones I had coming to me, and I wasn't quite sure. So, all right, what's next? Whoop. And I just threw the Retro Bliss cards on the floor. All right. So this was an eBay purchase from Cyber Carolina. I do have a couple of these, but when I saw it on there, I wanted to get it. So this takes the Intellivision flashback overlays, and I think there was a few more. There are 52 sets, and then there are overlays included with the flashback console, 10 more sets. And a box was made, and there is a checklist / manual. So I wanted another one, so I picked it up when I was posting all the screenshots for all you guys on the group saying what homebrews are available. When I saw that, I picked it up for myself. Okay, here we go. It's going to piss off Mike. I have a few small Jaguar things left, Casey. Maybe you might want them. We can discuss that later. Yes, I would be interested in the Jaguar stuff. I have a stack of those cards. I need to frame them as a tribute to my talent. You could get like one of those trophy things and just kind of keep adding the card as you get them. I have them all right there. They sit right over there, and I'll just add this to it. I got a little pile. I could see your face when I said it. I was trying not to laugh. Jaguar. All right, what else do I have here? So I also went, when was it? Sunday. Saturday. Saturday after work. So I worked overtime. I've been working every single day because I'm about to be off 6 weeks unpaid. I've been trying to work every day I can when we're not doing something. So then I see this short. One of the local, my friend's store, him and his son run it along with a few other people. And it's a lot of retro stuff, some modern stuff too, but they also have a lot of retro toys and a lot of cool stuff. They posted a short. They had TurboGrafx 16 stuff. They had 3 consoles, something like 8-9 games, a few other little things. I'm like, okay, they don't get that stuff very often unless you're at a big show. Even there, it's hard to find that stuff. So I've been collecting again recently, and I had to go down there. So I went down there. I bought some stuff. And while I was looking around, I'm like, let's go look at the NES shelf. I bought so many of my NES games. I'm around 500, and I picked up one. So I'll show you guys what I got at the store on Saturday. Yeah, I love Jaguar. I bought a lot of it when it was new. So what I picked up for NES was The Last Ninja. Now, they had this last time I was there, but the cart had like markings all over it. The label was junk. And I almost passed over it knowing that I looked for it. And I'm like, whoa, there's 2 of them. And I pulled this one out, and it's in really good shape. So I picked it up. And the rest, DJC told me not to get Deep Blue. He says it sucks. I was about to buy it. So on this, I'm not a completionist on TurboGrafx 16. I'm just buying stuff that I had, stuff that I like, games that are good that I haven't owned. And here is Devil's Crush, the most expensive of the bunch. Bonk's Revenge. I love Bonk. JJ and Jeff. I've heard that that's a good game. I didn't have it when I was younger. I don't even believe I've played it. I think I've watched DJC play it, and I got Bomberman, and I'm thinking, I looked at my list. Somehow I missed it. I'm like, I was pretty sure I had it, but now I have 2 copies. $70 mistake. And Fantasy Zone. That is a shooter that I did not have when I was younger. I had a lot of TurboGrafx 16 stuff. I've watched Chuck play this, and I tried it. I think one of the TurboGrafx 16 shows we did on Chuck's channel, and I think it was Chuck's channel, and it's a fun game. All right, what else we got? I think this is the last box. So I bought some stuff from Rev. This was not done through eBay. So this is a copy of Food Fight, and this is because I got the really, really, really early version from, oh boy, was it Korg's? There were hamburgers en route to Switzerland, and there were a few food fights. And mine has a bug in it, and you can't really finish playing it. There are only a few that were sent out like that. And so I finally got my good copy. I'm looking forward to playing it. So some of these are just extras. This game, the one I have, I bought used off someone, and there's like a slight crease somewhere in the box. I wanted this game for so long, and it was one of the last ones I was able to find and get. Battlestar Galactica Space Battle. If you like Space Battle and you found it too easy, or you just wanted more, this is definitely the game. You can get the ROM, I think, free. I think it's free now. If it's not free, it's super cheap. And this game, I love this game. So I wanted a mint copy. I picked that up. This one gives me goosebumps looking at it. One of my favorite current homebrews. This one, Castle of Death. I tried playing it on regular speed. After getting a low death run, I cannot play it on anything but fast anymore. It just feels like I'm playing in slow motion. So again, grab the mint copy of that. I think I got that for someone, to be honest. I'm trying to remember now who it was for. Oh, yes, I know who it was for. I can't say it, though, because then he'll know. Super Pro Baseball. This was one of the last games that I got. And now I have a new mint copy. I got a sealed one from Intellivision Collector recently. And then I also grabbed the other league we do, Striker Super Pro Bowling. I had my box is part of Gluegate. If you know, you know. I needed a good one. And the last one in this box, there's some other stuff. There's a big list of stuff I bought. I just realized he had not sent it all. So he must have just got ready with what he had available. So, been talking about how I have all the homebrew games for quite a while. I did not have this one. If I have it, it is somewhere else. I couldn't find it. So whenever it came up, I can't take any chances. It's not going to be available forever. So I picked up a copy of Mystic Castle. And now I am complete. All right, let's catch up on chat. Mike says, The Last Ninja, I remember that rental. I've never played it. Food Fight's awesome. Yeah, it is. But my copy wasn't playable. I mean, you could play it, but it wasn't right. And they fixed it right after that. Most every copy that everyone has is fine. I just had the super duper early version. Casey's probably the only guy who can do a mail call every week and have it be extensive. Well, that's coming. I don't think that's going to happen too much. It just happens. Like all these games here, it's a local store. I saw a short. I'm like, okay, I'm going by there after work. I meant to buy 1 or 2, and I bought them all but 2. Best mail call is Mike's Gaming Gala trading card. Oh, yeah. And I don't think I showed it because I didn't get that far into the box. I'll try to remember to show that next episode. I'll show that. Yeah, Battlestar Galactica Space Battle. That one's fun. And you can play on a hard level. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Let me see. I see Steve's still here. Make sure he wasn't messaging me. He's still down there. Bears fan Goomba, where did you get that Mystic Castle? That was from Cyber Carolina eBay store. I know when they're gone this time on this one. I believe I could find out for you. If you send me a message, I will reach out. Yeah, that one. This is the best version by far. Thank you, Benville. All right, what else we got here? Homebrew highlight. So the only one I can show you, because I have this one and I bought another one because mine sustained shipping damage. Let me see. You can see right here. It lifts up. It's all smashed in right here. You see wrinkles up here. It's smashed over here. So I bought a second one, but I'm going to show you. I'm not going to open it since this one's open. So here's the box. This is Parker Brothers style box. Here we've got the, I almost dropped it, Parker Brothers style manual. Here is the cart. My label is a little funky. Leave that up here. And the overlays are not the usable type. It's like almost like a cheap credit card, if you know what I'm talking about. The new cards that people send, maybe insurance card or something. It's thick. It's not like a regular overlay. It's to look at. And then the box has the little insert to keep everything in there, and the back of the box. So let's go ahead. Now I'm showing off everything over here. Once I reach stuff over there, it's like it's out in the open. Let's show off Gyruss. So are you good at this version too, Mike? Because I know the NES version, you're like a pro. But what about the Intellivision version? I don't have any other controller hooked up, but an IntelliPad from Retro Game Boys with a near new 6-button Sega controller, and we'll go ahead and switch on over, and that's what should have been Homebrew highlight. Turn it on, catch up on chat, and then we'll try it. I don't know how well it's going to play with this controller, but we'll find out. Yep. Anytime any of you guys want to know where to get something, how to find something, who you should ask, I don't mind. That's what I'm here for. I'm available everywhere. Social media, YouTube, comments, live on the show. Send me a message. I'm glad to help with anything that I can. Yeah, I'm well aware of all that. I'm not going to talk about that stuff, though. I think it plays pretty good. It's been a long time. Last time I tried, I had an Intellivision controller with the DIIK, which I think would probably be the preferred way. But right now, this is what I've got sitting here. I don't know how loud this is going to be. Let me know if you guys can hear it. No critiquing my gameplay, Mike. I am not good at this. This controller doesn't seem to work that bad. I think I prefer the DIIK, but I'm able to do it. At least to show off the game for the Homebrew highlight. Anyone wondering, Homebrew highlight, just show it all off, play it for a minute or two. Just kind of awareness thing. I can't even remember if I've done a video on this. If not, it will be coming soon. OG Hugo. I can't be good at every game, buddy. I'm not Mike's Gaming Gala good, but there are quite a few games that I'm pretty good at. And there's some that I suck at. Like this one. This one's just from not really knowing the game. Plus, it feels it's a little weird to have an 8-way controller, or not a disc. But I'm not blaming the controller, Mike, because it's playing just fine. Oh, almost got hit there. Ah! Now I lost my double shot and got hit again. Hey, we're going to get a full game in since I'm not very good. I thought I had to fight that. I'm like, I don't know what to do here. Oh, great. I'm doing lovely. I got them all. Oh. Oh, I hit 5. All right, that's enough embarrassment. Let me go back to full screen here. Don't want to give you guys the flashing blue. Let me turn these batteries off, because when I do the Homebrew highlights, sometimes I forget, and I come back up here the next day, and the batteries are dead. All right, let's catch up on some of this. Even though I want to skip over some of them, I won't. How does one get this game? I don't know if you can get it as a ROM, and it's not easy to find either, but I'll definitely check. I believe this was the first game that wasn't a free ROM from Inty-Home. Mike, I'll judge silently. Well, that would be a first. I need this and Mr. Do Bad. Well, neither one is easy to find, but at least Mr. Do will be available in 2026. OG Hugo says, seen better gameplay from a little kid with an unplugged second player controller. I had glanced over and saw his comment before. I'm like, I didn't read it all, but I'm like, oh boy. I only blame the controller when I'm bad at the game. DJC says, I have this arcade cabinet. Oh, I bet it's much better there. Wow, this game looks a lot like Deep Zone. Yeah, they came out the same year. This was actually first. Deep Zone came out, what was it? Somewhere mid-year-ish. This Gyruss came out, and I think Deep Zone was like December of the same year, 2018. Yeah, rare. Don't chase them. Let them fly to you. Oh, okay. Only a couple more minutes left of the show here after we catch up on chat. And I want to talk about one video on the highlight really quick, and then we'll tell everyone about Chuck's stream, and then we'll head out. DJC says, Sai, look for Deep Zone on eBay. It's a better Gyruss style game. Same kind of thing. Warning, Inty-Home games are an absolute premium price, 100 euros for shipping and customs from Italy. Yeah, they're pricey if you get one from over there. Yeah, I want Mr. Do too. Yeah, DJC's been playing the heck out of that. He's got like double my score. Deep Zone seems better, to be honest. Probably easier to get and definitely a lot cheaper. Yep, Cyrus will do. Kurt Bradshaw, I have a Gyruss. I've had Gyruss for a while, but need Mystic Castle and Super Pro Baseball. So I'll tell you this, Kurt. If you should be able to get Super Pro Baseball, I'll try to remember to tell you when it comes up. If for some reason they're gone, because when they're gone, they're gone. There's something else coming. If you can't get it, I'll sell you one of mine. But try to get it, because I want my copies. I love the baseball games, but don't worry, I got you covered if something happens. And regular price, of course, too. All right, so YouTube highlight videos. Let me head back on over, get this to the right spot. I only added one, and it's a familiar face. Where are we at here? So in the playlist where I put all the videos that I think are cool, you should see, watch, don't miss, we've got a review, a better controller for your Intellivision ? OG Hugo hardware review from Mike's Gaming Gala. So that is what has the video on, is this guy right here. Let me go back to full screen. If you haven't seen it, it's a pretty cool gamepad controller. I like it. Like any controller. Anyone that makes a controller, I've probably bought it. I don't like it for every game. This one is the same way. I like it. It's a good controller. But some controllers I like for certain games, and this one is no different than the others. It's a great controller, but there's not one controller solution for Intellivision games as far as I'm concerned. Watch Mike's review. One thing I can tell you about Mike, he's going to give it to you straight. If he doesn't like it, he'll tell you. If he likes it, he'll tell you. I believe, I haven't watched it. It's in my playlist, not being able to watch a lot of stuff right now. I know he talked about he was going to take it apart and show the insides. So it is in my watch list. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I left a comment on again, didn't I? So definitely check that out. It's the only new video this week in that playlist. All the old ones are in there as well. And use code MGG or DJC, and you can get $5 off your controller. Maybe if you put DJC MGG, you can get $10. I'm kidding. Yeah, no problem, Kurt. You're the most up-and-coming collector I know. I'm glad to help someone out if it need be. But like I said, try to get it because I want my copies. But don't worry, you won't be without one. Great video Mike made on the controller. Yeah, I already know it's good, and I haven't even seen it yet. So definitely. OG Hugo says, the Intellivision Gamer, you figured it out. Are you talking about different controllers for different games, or? Oh, they can stack up. Someone go try it quick. Pretty soon, keep putting in a code until it's free. I haven't tried, but I am going to buy your arcade stick because I don't have one yet. Will the code work on that, or is it just this one? That one I don't have, Kurt. I just have one of those, and I didn't have it myself. I was panicking. I'm not kidding. When I was panicking because I thought it wasn't going to be available anymore, and then I reached out to my good buddy Rev, and I got one. So, all right, guys. Well, on that note, that's going to do it. We are, how far are we in? 2 hours and 32 minutes. That was a nice long interview. I really liked that interview. I hope you guys liked it as well. If you missed it, go back and watch it. Steve is great. A lot of great information. And, I'm really looking forward. I hope he's going to make it to PRG this year, and we'll have some more footage. And I'm looking forward to that golf league. Really looking forward to golf league. But anything in store, I believe. Okay, cool. Because I need the arcade stick. I keep telling him I'm gonna buy it, and I just haven't got around to it. I might have to wait until I go back to work to get it. It's not that I can't spend, but it's like I know that's gonna be there in a few more weeks, couple months. We got PRG coming up too. I'm gonna barely have time to recover, if at all, from being off work before PRGE, and I've got money set aside for PRGE, and I don't want to go through that. Thanks, Mike. Best interview yet. Was great. I mean, I didn't really do anything. Steve's the one that's great. I mean, how can you go wrong having a Blue Sky Ranger that put out some of the great games on the console? I just had to ask some questions, and you gave me a couple. Mike gave me a couple. Rev gave me some. I had a timeline and kind of pieced it all together, but it was a fun interview. Yeah, stack them. Someone try it. Let me know. I'm sure he's kidding, but that would be cool. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Like we talked about, whenever you're working on a project that you really enjoy. I mean, I enjoy Intellivision everything. I enjoy all my guests, but Steve, a Blue Sky Ranger, someone I've got to meet, and he went shopping with me, and we did the golf league, and I got to play him at said golf league. It's like he's just such a down-to-earth, fun guy to hang out with, and that I spent a lot of time over the last few nights thinking about questions, and laying there in bed, with my wife and ignoring her while I think of questions to ask Steve. That's the truth. That's really what I did. Laying in bed and no time for you, wife. I gotta have some good questions for Steve. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate that. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's show. A big thanks to Steve Ettinger for coming on and giving us a lot of his time this evening. And thank you for all the guys that watch live and for everyone that's going to watch us on the rewind. I really do appreciate you all. It's the whole reason I do what I do. Try to help keep the Intellivision community going. That's the only part I can do because I can't program games. So I can play them, show you, tell you about them, show you about new hardware. I love having people on. If you ever want to come on the show, reach out. We can talk about collector stuff, whatever it is. You just want to play some games, I'm down for that too. Next Monday, we're going to start winding down a little bit. The shows are going to get shorter for a while, but I will still be here. 5 p.m. Pacific time, episode 80. I'm going to play some homebrew games. We're going to try that. I figured out, I've got it going right now. I can do a poll now. I've got it figured out. We're going to do homebrew gameplay with chat's choice. So I'm going to put up some games. You guys are going to vote while I'm playing the last one. And then we'll play whatever you guys vote on for the next one. That's what we're going to do next week. Of course, I'm going to have the news mail call. If I can't think if I've got stuff coming. Mike's making me feel like I have to have some cool stuff every week now. DJC says I farted. That's news right there. Thank you, Cyrus. Appreciate that. All right, guys. If you're new here, make sure to hit the sub button. I put out Intellivision content every week, and it's all I do here. If you like Intellivision or if you love Intellivision, you're in one of the right places on YouTube. Until then, we'll see you guys next week.
Rise up, get ready for the fight. The Intellivision gamer, shining so bright. Reviews and gameplay, he's got it all from classics to new. He stands tall, interviews and insights. He's on a mission, unleashing the power of retro intuition. He's got the knowledge, the passion untamed. Intelli-Rocker burning with the flame. YouTube's his stage, subscribers unite. Intellivision gamer, he brings the light with the game console. He's making history.